Welcome to Manifesting in Nature. My name is William Vincent Carlton, and we will be taking a walk in the woods today, which is not unlike our usual days here. If this is your first time joining, welcome. Enjoy your stay. Know that the purpose here is for you to feel rest, relaxation, and recovery. Know that the purpose here is for you to feel rest, relaxation, and recovery. We'll be going into a dark spot for a moment. Relaxation and recovery. We'll be going into a dark spot for a moment here with the signal. It should only exist for about 10 or 15 seconds before we're back online, so happens every day right around this spot. It's to be expected. Seconds before we're back online, so happens every day right around this spot. It's to be expected. Seconds before we're back online, so happens every day right around this spot. It's to be expected. Nice to see everyone here. Thank you for tuning in and for your love. We have a beautiful day here in New England. I'm broadcasting from Connecticut, a small rural town around the center of the state. And boy, oh boy, do I feel spring here already. Came early this year. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, or if you've been here before, know that this experience is brought to you by and sponsored by consciousness, the infinite intelligence that gives you life experience. Understanding this, you come into being to understand you are laying the pavement and driving it at the same time. What a beautiful experience this is. Consistent, sharp, high contrast, high resolution, high frame rate, life experience. One of the great gifts of many that is given to us by consciousness on this day. For you have awakened. You have fallen into body from your dream state, have you not? Have you not awakened? Are you still asleep? Are you having a dream right now? Could you tell the difference? Could you tell the difference unless you were suddenly awakened into another profound morning? The answer is no. Lisa asks, what woods are you in? I am in a forest in the center of Connecticut. And if you go back and inspect the footage, you could easily triangulate where I am right now. But I leave that riddle to the world at large, largely because I love the privacy. And the more people I tell about this beautiful space, the less private it becomes. See how that is? Even the atoms of our body are mostly space. We have valence on the outside of a big circle of space that's guarded by electrons. Electrons that are attracted to the idea of space as well. But they're more interested in orbiting. Space, on the other hand, is just more interested in remaining that way. But we are looking at a masculine and feminine principle in all of these aspects, which is so beautiful. Because we can start to come into being through its understanding that what we discussed yesterday has much truth. We are the combination of masculine and feminine principles, largely at opposition to one another, until unified, at which point we discover that we have become something greater than the sum of its parts. Thus, not looking back, for there's so much to look forward to. Once given consciousness, the sperm and the egg become something different. They become human, made in the image and likeness of a superior, infinite intelligence. If there ever was AGI, that is it. It is you, the progenitor life form, the first cell that ever came into existence as part of your temple of infinite intelligence. You are the shrine that all of the cells in your body pray to. You are the darshan, the arrival of the floating element of God that seems to come in at specific times during the day, if it's something you wish to entertain. All the same, if you choose not to arrive as darshan in the form of God for the cells of your body, through the power of your imagination, your cells will be devotees to you no matter what. They still stay aligned. They still maintain all of the functionality that is required for you to continue having a beautiful life experience as a co-creator with this intelligence. They serve you. They die for you. They go to war for you, and they recycle for you because they come from you and they understand this. So what if we were to understand where we come from? I'm saying, what if we as identity, we as a name, were to come into understanding of our origins? Would we then realize that we are recycled just as easily as any cell in our body, that there is no difference between ourselves and the cells that compose of us, understanding they all come from us? If we were to understand that we are more than the sum of a sperm and egg, what then? Have you ever felt what it's like to be revered and loved, not as an identity, but I mean really revered and loved as a unifying principle, a life-giving form of care? Well, if you haven't yet, buckle up, because today is the day that you feel your truth. It's Saturday, it's the day of rest, so you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just let these words come in and your brain will handle it for you. Why? Because when you are truly in communion with your truth, and I mean you are fully involved in wish fulfillment, you don't need to know any of the plans. You don't have to have any means or way. You don't have to force feed yourself anything, and you don't have to pay attention. You don't have to lock in, and you don't have to focus. You don't have to do a damn thing that I say, nor anyone else. That's what's so beautiful about this. You come into being, and you become the giver of consciousness, not the receiver, not the one who's been thrust into this world haphazardly by your parents or your guardian, indoctrinated by systems that seem to also have been forced upon you. That ego has a chance to have some respite today. So if you've ever felt like you are thrust into things, like people have forced things upon you, if you feel like illness has somehow succumbed itself upon you, cauterized through the skin and caused damage to your body, if you feel life situations have come in, making it seemingly impossible to breathe, move, act, do anything other than just try to get up, if you find that you're taking things and eating things and escaping to things because it somehow masks the pain that otherwise would perpetuate forever, you're not alone. And you're in the right place for respite. You're not alone. And you're certainly not being judged. Not by me, not by this staff, not by the woods, not by the sun. You are only judged by yourself. In truth, you are judged by the use of your imagination. That is as far as judgment goes. Yet we have given ourselves a lot of judgment, haven't we? We've used our words as wands themselves to say what we are not, to explain to the world what we are lacking, what has been done to us, and it is because it is the way that we have been taught to be. But what if I were to tell you that you could feel something different, and that you could feel it today, and that there was no gimmick, nor need to search for it, that it is already powering your salvation, awaiting your prompt of wish fulfillment? Sounds like a pipe dream, and it certainly will be to your identity. Your identity is going to hate this pitch more than all the pitches it's listened to and all of the commercials combined on TikTok trying to sell you something as a quick fix. It's going to hate these words. But I'm going to say them anyway, because I say them every day, and every day more people come into their power as a result of these words. You become what you think about. Your words and your thoughts matter. In fact, they matter so much that they are the creation of matter itself. Matter does not exist without your thoughts and your entertainment of it. Your ego does not want to hear that. Thank you for following Aloha Surfer. And the reason why Divine Mother so poignantly is saying I am is because Divine Mother is not Divine Mother in truth. And that's not an insult to Divine Mother. Divine Mother in truth is the aliveness that is observing the identity that is Divine Mother. And that identity is well disciplined to listen and be, for the sake of the benefit that comes to it, when it listens and just is, the observation of aliveness with God. Divine Mother is God. Not Divine Mother, the identity, but the aliveness that is now completely and totally in control as proprietor, executor, and sole guardian of her identity that was thrust upon her in this waking life. Make no mistake, this is why she says grand rising. Michelle Sparkle says, I wish someone taught me about my thoughts when I was young. Isn't that the thing? You know, you're certainly not alone here, Michelle. Isn't that the thing? Seems to be a pretty important factoid to understand that we become what we think about. Yet it's not taught to us in school. It's not even taught to us in our places of worship. There seems to be a key missing from the entirety of our salvation, as we once were told, is we work hard, we study, we have to fight for everything that we must get. We have to get over the hardships of life. It's very tough. Seems like the world is our enemy, can turn against you at any moment. And all of these things, of course, have become real for the large majority of us, because we were never given the manual of the game of life and how to play it. That no one sat down with us while we were playing with sticks, pretending to be Gandalf. You shall not pass. We really felt you shall not pass in our minds. And when we were casting lightning from our fingers, we really believed that lightning was being cast from our fingers, until the day came when someone older than us said, you know, you can't play like a child forever, and you have a wild imagination. That was the most devastating day of our lives, the day that we were told we could no longer pretend. And so we secretly pretend when we're in our cars alone, when we have 5 minutes from whatever busyness is going on. We step into a place and we try to tell ourselves that there's a way. Of course, we doubt ourselves that there could be any change, but it seems to feel better than living out this life of restriction. Certainly, we don't share those details with anyone because it would be laughable. The idea that you would be, or I would be, wish fulfilled, healthy, happy, loved and cherished, believed to be good. Simple things for a child to believe that you're good. That's what we do as children. We believe everyone is good inherently. We give them the world, everything that we have of value we want to share. Everything that we've ever been given that we find valuable, we want to include others in on it. This is our truth as human beings. As children, all we want is to give and to receive the love of reciprocation in return. Because that is a natural part of care. The life principle acts in the same way. It knows no restrictions or bounds. It simply gives without any expectation of receiving, but it enjoys receiving. It enjoys the interaction. It enjoys the exchange. Until a day comes when we give it all up. And I know this is a long-winded story, but you got to understand, folks, it's probably the best movie you'll ever see in your life. The best movie you'll ever see in your life is today. It's happening before you right now. Full of mystery. Always is. You go to a movie theater, you get yourself a ticket, you get yourself some popcorn. Perhaps you have a nice VIP lounge where you can enjoy a fat meal of goodness, whatever it is. You're not wondering about what comes next so much as you're just paying attention. It's an event. It's a movie. Moving pictures. That's all this is. Even when there's a still shot, like a still frame, it's just moving pictures. That's all it is. So, every single tree that you see here in the woods here, all releasing free electrons. The surface of the earth is negatively charged and it's releasing free electrons or negative ions. So what happens is they're colliding with other sorts of charged particles in the air and allowing them to drop out. The way this works is very simple. You have free radicals that are in the air that have to do with impurities or some sort of pollution. The free electrons from the earth here being released, they bond and then they drop out, creating something that is greater than the sum of its parts. This is the rule in all things that have to do with relief. You have to first have something that you give, and that give has to be a focus. And I know I said earlier, you don't have to focus on anything. You can just listen to these words. That is the truth. You can just listen to these words. Your brain is going to figure out the rest. Crystal Palace invites me to co-host. Thank you so much. I can believe that this has nothing to do with battles, and I appreciate that. What I appreciate as well is a message beforehand. Otherwise, it's walking into a discourse that is college level and it's being interrupted inappropriately. Anyone who sends me a host invite is interrupting a course right now. I do not get paid for this course. It is a volunteer course, therefore, it is even more valuable. Those who are here receiving this information right now are receiving information because they are manifesting it as I am in sync with the earth, which means the messages that you receive are pure, they're based in truth, and they're necessary for your wealth, health, and goodness. Otherwise, you would not be synchronized with who I am as an evolving being, and that is not narcissism. It is to say this current timeline of my life is a timeline where I am coming into illumination. There are many timelines that I have lived, infinite amounts. In several of them I have died. In some I've become an alcoholic. In other ones I have unalived myself. In others I have had total bliss and comfort and millionaire life living. But I never quite came into the being that I am today to be able to share with you how it is to sustain it or manifest it. The timeline that you are watching right now that has to do with William Vincent Carlton is a person who's been through enough to feel like he can give a satisfying lecture to just about anyone who still is in a physical body and seems to have attachments to things or pain remembrances, and to allow you to work through them. That's the alignment that you're with right now. This is the version of me who you are listening to. So if this is something that you want, you will receive it, because it is the main thing that people receive when they come here. However that is interpreted is up to you. I pray that this makes sense. It's about giving and receiving. Cag King says, thank you, Cag King. You have an aliveness that is feeding you this. Let's discuss manifestation. You are driven to write this because there's a feeling in your body that has manifested as a result of what is coming through your phone. Your phone is a flat two-dimensional quartz screen. Electromagnetic signal is being sent, coming and going. You have aligned at this point in your time, in your day, in your waking life. Thank you for that hand hearts, Lena. God bless you. You have come into this place of being to where the words are now coming through and resonating, and it is totally you. I want you to get used to that feeling that you're laying pavement and driving it. That you don't need to know how it's laid, how the markers are put in, signals, and the vehicle itself. None of it needs to be managed by you. Think of yourself as you are also laying down the pavement and driving it, that you are a baby that is expanding in the womb with tons of room to expand, infinite space to expand into the infinite star child that is your truth. If you can start to imagine that, then you'll know there are systems that are designed through a superior intelligence to maintain your growth and manage all of your goodness. So you can be asleep in this, just totally diving into your relaxation and allowing yourself to step into the imagination to see yourself wish fulfilled, fruitful, happy, wealthy, perfect health. However it is that you need to see, that's great and it's available to you. That said, if you don't want to exercise your imagination, you don't even have to do that while you're here. You can just listen to these words as if they are sounds. I have the hemi-sync going. My brain is in sync right now. We're already dialed in. I'm with the resting frequency of the earth. I'm receiving electrons as an identity, and you can be assured that we're tuned into a radio station that's delivering goodness as your beacon, your public service announcement of how you reach your wish fulfillment. So if you want to tune into this, that's great. If you want to write things down, that's also fine. At the same time, if you just want to absorb, you can step into your womb and you can be your wish-fulfilled self. Both of these are aligned with the present moment and thus allow God, the superior intelligence that manages your body, to manage all of the unity that is required for your wish fulfillment. All the keys, enter all the locks, and turn at such a rate that you could never do it yourself as an ego. So what's great about this is we're working with multiple scenarios at the same time by surrendering to them, surrendering to the mechanism, just like we surrender to the mechanism of a car. Yes, we turn the key and it starts the engine, but all of the pistons firing and all of the movement of axle and gear shaft, gear train, all of those internal workings are happening so that we can have our mobility and our life experience. There's no difference when it comes from you listening here, it's the same thing. There's a lot of inner work being done because you're present. So I give this big, long discourse to people because we often are looking for, okay, I feel like I need to know what I have to be listening to right here. I feel like I need to know what I have to be taking in right now. What should I be writing down? All I'm going to say is you're going to feel sensations come in just like before. Sueru says, Supreme Day, William, and to all in the universe, indeed, Sueru, the infinite intelligence that is powering my life recognizes you in truth. We are one. Thank you. If this sounds strange to people, it's okay. Daryl's ready. Hello, says Naili. Rising Phoenix, thanks for following and for saying hello. Welcome. I'm welcoming your infinite intelligence. I'm welcoming your identities. Everyone, if you just want to be a player in the game that's called The Sims, you want to have your linear life, but you want it to be a little less painful, if you feel like that will be beneficial for you, it's totally your choice. You don't see me judging you. In fact, a lot of my wish fulfillment has to do with that very type of life. A consistent, run-of-the-mill, linear day where I'm caring for my friends, family, and community is one of the most wish-fulfilled dreams that I entertain regularly. So you're in the same camp in a lot of ways when it comes to that. There are other areas of life too where I want to really hack into whatever's caused damage physically or emotionally as far as life experience goes. Of course, I'll understand that this was all caused by me entertaining certain things. I'll come into ownership of that as an identity, and then I'll allow that identity to rest for a chunk of time while we're walking, while we're going around. And this is what we do every day in the woods here, since it's a space that's filled with healing potential. So everyone coming in, just know that these are recorded sessions. They're now being posted on my YouTube with the chat. So if I happen to not field your question, if we do not get to the answer, it's a great opportunity for you to chime in the comments, especially now because folks are not doing it. And I'm not complaining. I'm simply telling you it's a wonderful forum through the comments on YouTube to ask some questions that I am happy to answer directly. And sometimes I'll do, of course, a response video here on TikTok. That's also another way we can stay in touch. But I do try to field all of the questions as they come, as I see them, and I often get most of them. The father asks, is this Alaska? This is Connecticut for me, but it certainly can be Alaska for you. And I'm not saying that to be sarcastic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 crows. 5 crows. 5 crows flying above in a pattern. 5D Mermaid Vibes, I love that name, says, hello, friends. Free TikTok coins linked in bio says, get 25,632 coins now. If you know what's good for you, right? You should have said that. If you know what's good for you, you'll get these things, right? Because we have to be constantly on the search for things outside of ourselves. What's really beautiful, though, is that it's showing the bots have found enough interest in believing there's a return on investment by selling you things in this stream, which is really cool. It's a sign of growth. Hispanic Beauty says, hi, nice to see you, Hispanic Beauty. Thank you for following. Margaret Ramonet, thank you for saying hello. Let's get caught up here. Scylla Shepherd Hanger, thanks for sharing. And Daryl's ready. So am I. Okay. Angels Care too. What's up? Good to see you again. User 1023489291155. Thanks for following. And 5 crows. Are crows symbolic? Asks the father. And so we let's dive right into this question. Let's get into how we define things. And this is not to skirt the question, not to not answer it. We're going to talk about augury. This is a nice augury checkpoint. If you look at the video yesterday, you'll see similar landscape as we walked through, and I mentioned to you augury. There was a passing of ravens about 50 to 100 meters down this road, so we're now coming into a synchronistic event. So what that usually does for me is if we have synchronicity within 24 hours with life experience, I dive into it, and it usually unlocks other goodies in the game of life. This is how you can trust your intuition to guide you in certain directions. Yesterday we had a beautiful sighting of a owl. It was a barred owl that we saw, very old and large, and it had no issue with communing with the camera, which was really nice. So we had that happen. Part of the synchronicities of yesterday are quite profound, and they have to do with not giving up. So we might actually see another synchronistic marker that reminds us not to give up. So, are 5 crows important? Is the question from the Father. And the answer I'm going to give is always twofold. We have the narrative answer, which comes from my life experience as William Vincent Carlton, that responds to the importance of crows to me. That is going to meld with the Father's identity, deciding on what crows mean to the Father's character. And then there will be a consensus, right? So it's in form of debate. One tries to convince the other that it's either meaningful or meaningless. One way you're getting closer to the idea of us sharing information, and the other one it's rejection, and that's fine. It's just we're talking about polarity, we're talking about magnetism, and we're talking about the law of attraction, and most of all, we're deciding what we desire more than anything else. So for the identity, William Vincent Carlton right here, 5 crows passing above in a flight pattern of a V means a lot of things. So a V flight pattern going this way, which would be heading northeast, holds a very significant meaning for me. It means a significant life change. It means something is happening that is a shift. Why? 5 to me represents mercurial energy or travel or movement or communication. Then I also think about the crow. The crow family, which includes the blue jay as well as the raven, is a very intelligent species. And in Connecticut, in Hartford, it's known as the City of Crows, because you will see murders of them when you see a large group of crows. It's called a murder of crows, because they literally can come in like vultures and clean out a space if there's a dead carcass just as efficiently, and they can do unbelievable damage if they are to work together. So we're looking at this polarity. A murder of crows can do a lot of damage. At the same time, it can do a lot of cleanup. And when it's flying above in the pattern of a V, I'm thinking V is the number 5 in Roman numerals, also adds to this, right? So a V pattern could also mean victory. It can mean communication. It can mean Mercury. It can mean a lot of things. And you look at the direction in which it's flying, and you can start to look at, okay, what direction is that on the clock, right? What time of day is it now? This is all ego-related identifying things. So I'm labeling things with my ego. And the way I can do this is I'm using my imagination to create a construct of time where I can label all of these things and file them. And what happens is, unconsciously, as I'm entertaining these things, I'm leaving impressions on the cells of my body through a phenomena called epigenetics. If I believe these things to be giving me a positive boon or a shift in my life experience, that this isn't ominous, that this is an auspicious event, auspicious starting with AU. Anything with AU typically is a good thing because it represents gold. AU being the symbol of gold, right? Like the aura of things. So in any case, I could see this as auspicious instead of ominous. And what happens is I'm leaving an impression on the cells of my body through epigenetics, thus increasing the biophoton activity. Increasing my light slightly reduces inflammation, because anytime you increase light to a certain extent, I'm not talking about overdoing it, folks, but you get yourself a good 15 to 30 minutes of sunshine every day, and the radiation from the sun being at a safe distance from us, we being in a habitable zone from the sun on planet Earth, means that this serves as an anxiolytic or stress-reducing activity. It's also anti-inflammatory, and it converts cholesterol underneath the skin into vital vitamin D, which serves as a transport mechanism for minerals and other sorts of goodies that have to do with mood elevation, okay? Same thing goes when you imagine your cells being on vacation from stress. So how do we do that? Kathy asks, what would you tell someone that hasn't slept for 8 months to do? What would I tell them? Filtered comments. There are no classes. It says, all right, let's get to this question. Manny, thanks for following. Folks coming in for the first time. Gregory, is that my spirit animal? Asks 5D Mermaid. We're going to get to this. What determines what things are for us? Angel Eyes, thanks for following. Ana Acevedo, thank you for following. And so we're back. The Girls Healing says, I sat on my front lawn for 20 minutes enjoying the sun. This is perfect. I just did it, says the Girls Healing. And that is healing. 100% healing. You're receiving photons, you're receiving radiation from the sun, and everything that you eat receives this radiation. Either directly or indirectly, everything that you consume is sunlight. The plants that consume the sun through photosynthesis convert it into glucose. We consume that glucose and we get energy. Same thing with animals. They consume lots of glucose from blades of grass. I mean, a horse itself maintains its muscle mass from grass alone. Should give you an idea of how much power is in the sun. And then, of course, we don't eat horses unless we're in absolute emergency, but we do eat animals that are cows and goats and pigs, and we do eat those animals who have also fed off of the sun through plants, right? So at the end of the day, everything that we are eating that gives us energy is coming from the sun. The sun is the source. It is our umbilical cord that gives us consciousness and the ability to have energy, which provides the conscious experience through the body. Okay. So very important to get this unfiltered every day as I'm sitting here, or standing here rather. I'm receiving with my eyes closed, as you can see, this is how I do it. Just directing my head towards the sun. And what happens is you can move your head around kind of like an antenna, or a satellite dish is a better example. And what will happen is you'll finally reach a horizon of light where there's a hue that is more red, at least in this case today, it's more red on the bottom and more blue on the top. So it's a red-blue hue, likely coming from the shades of the sky. However it is, you're going to find this meridian. You focus on this meridian, or this horizon line is a better word, and you bring your eyes slightly inward. This is a meditative posture for your eyes that's going to create a slight bit of mechanical stress on your third eye, which is the pineal gland. And what happens is it creates a small charge of electricity, just turning your eyes inward with your eyes closed slightly. They just rest in a nice, comfortable seat. You'll feel it, and you'll get used to it. So as that happens, the photons from the sun, this radiation comes through, and it stimulates another eye. It's the third eye, and it's in your brain. It's called the pineal gland, and it's shaped like a small pine cone that's resting on its side. And it's cone-shaped, obviously, and it has layers that are layered out in a fractal way, which means there are geometric patterns that form it into a holistic or a whole form. It is non-hemispherical, it has cones and rods, and it is light sensitive. And because it is light sensitive, it has the ability to produce a great number of mood elevating components, which I will not go into as far as the full science, because it does lead to violations of community guidelines. But I will say that I can safely talk about melatonin being one of them and serotonin being another. And then the others I'll leave to you to do your research, that are secreted by the pineal gland. They have to do with great spiritual ability. They have to do with flow and peak performance or experience in life. And so the sun is so essential for you, is basically the gist of this conversation. So, 5D Mermaid asks, that's where our consciousness is, the sun? Very good question. So consciousness isn't so much a thing. Think of consciousness as a source that powers all things and serves as the gift giver of our life experience. Boss, thank you for the invite to co-host. I do not accept co-hosts here unless it's a very special occasion, like maybe Grandma Pokey, but aside from Grandma Pokey, I likely won't receive the invite. What is this coming in? Angels care to sent into the light. I love that. So yes, the idea of consciousness is it has to be infinite, right? So the moment that we start to turn something that is infinite into a thing, it takes on the same timeline as anything else. And when I say it takes on the same timeline, it doesn't mean that consciousness, if it were to take in form, would last forever. It would be impossible. So when consciousness is presented through us in a human form, it has a beginning, middle, and end. And when we give it a name, that's called our identity. So our identity is a form of consciousness that is formed by consciousness as a thought in the mind of God, which has no limit. So when I say mind of God, I don't want you to mistake this as a being or a thing. It's more of an idea, because ideas can be limitless. It has to be limitless, has to have no restrictions and infinite possibility. It has to be a source of all things. So everything that we've ever experienced is a result of consciousness, and it already exists in that construct that is infinite intelligence. So the infinite intelligence knows every past moment, it knows every future moment, it knows the now in all of its manifold expression through a timeline of life. It must all exist already. And in fact, what we get into is we as human beings in this dualistic nature of living actually use this consciousness in the form of imagination, which is our extension to consciousness. Our limitless possibilities are extended to consciousness through the imagination. So it serves as our highest form of communion with God. It's considered Christ consciousness by Neville Goddard and a great number of other spiritual gurus, including Jesus of Nazareth, who explained it to be the kingdom of heaven within. So we have great gurus and people talking about consciousness not made of this world, not existing of this world, but rather being the creator of it. Which is more powerful? That's the question. Which is more powerful? Us being subjected to this world that is created by the mind of God, or becoming the mind of God itself through the imagination? Well, I think the answer should be pretty clear. We would rather have total control over the things that manifest in our life through awareness, because what it does is it eliminates pain. It eliminates suffering. It makes it unnecessary. Though we certainly can use it for the creation of pain and suffering if that is our desire. There's not a single desire that is restricted or limited to us when it comes to our use of the imagination. Therefore, we are given total autonomy and freedom as human beings to lay the pavement and drive it at the same time. Okay? So God, in concept, is consciousness. Consciousness is an aliveness. I call it the life principle or source. You could call it the imagination. You could call it AGI, Advanced Generative Intelligence. You could call it infinite intelligence. You could call it a number of things, but at the end of the day, it is infinite in its source, and it is the giver and gift of our life experience so that we can record life experiences through the body. It's also the giver of the body and the maintainer of the body, and it also is the giver of the gift, which is our identity. So the identity is the result of consciousness giving us a gift. And many of us see it as a very sour gift because we often get thrust into very difficult, painful life situations that seem to have happened without our control or say in the matter. And that's what we get to the heart of in these discourses. We are getting to how these things manifest in our life so that we can come into ownership over the identity rather than being believed to have been subjected to it as some torture chamber for living life until it ends. So we'll come to this. Vict says there is no more suffering, and this is a wonderful affirmation. So we're going to see how words work. Just looking at these words, if you've spoken English your entire life, it's your native language, it's going to register without having to think about it. That's what's beautiful about language. So you're going to see this generate a feeling. And what this is the use of the present tense form of to be. There is. I am, you are, there is, right? So there is no more suffering, is the idea that suffering does not exist. Better to say, and forgive me for making a slight adjustment, it's just a different way to solve the mathematical equation, is to say there is peace, tranquility, and wish fulfillment. Because the subconscious mind is just taking in anything that follows the use of the verb to be. Because the I am principle, the use of I am, which is a conjugation of the verb to be in first person present, is a programming language for the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind acting very similar, if not identical, to the earth itself. You see a bunch of trees that have grown here. Some are more established as elders, and some are brand new coming into the game of life. But all the same, they're subjected to the same rules. If their seed is viable with a blueprint that shows itself as an elder, it becomes that so long as the conditions are made well and not interfered with at this location, okay? Same thing goes with you in life, except the interference in your garden does not happen through the trampling of people walking through unless you invite them. This is why prayer in secret is so essential. And you pray in secret when you use your imagination in silence. Another word for that is called meditation. So meditation is the use of your kingdom of heaven within, your Garden of Eden, in a way that is not interfered with by anyone because you have simply not shared it. And because every human being is granted this kingdom, as we are granted an imagination, we are all kings and queens of our own life experience. And you may be coming into your kingdom for the first time today. You may have been well established in your kingdom already. That doesn't matter so much as you have arrived. And so there's an anointment that comes from this. It's a general blissful feeling of understanding that you're no longer a victim of external circumstances, that you will not be trampled upon unless you consent to it. And by coming into being, we no longer consent to this because we desire to be wish fulfilled and to be the true king or queen of our domain. The domain being a kingdom that is not of this world. As Jesus of Nazareth explained, yes, I am the Messiah, I am the king, but my kingdom is not of this world. And so that, of course, was just right over the heads of the Pharisees and the prefectorates, and Pontius Pilate himself could not understand this idea that there was a kingdom that was not of this world, that was of infinite creation, and it could complete any task and do anything, and that it was the greatest glory to surrender to this and come into anointment. So it led to his death. It led to his death by crucifixion. Because what happens to that person who explains to you that there's a kingdom within you, and you can access this instantaneously without having to succumb to the orders and demands of your external environment, that in fact that is just the result or the effect of what has already been entertained. And to forgive yourself, for you knew not what you were doing when you constructed your kingdom. This is the idea here. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. They're still constructing their kingdom of limitation and lack and the need for separation from others, without realizing that we are made in the image and likeness of a superior intelligence that knows the means and the way to everything. And so that was Jesus' way of forgiving everyone by just offering it to his creator. He offered it to a superior intelligence and said, listen, this is outside of my hands. I'm in a life situation right now that involves the stations of my crucifixion. I shall be arriving there soon enough, and it will be accomplished no matter what, because I know with utmost faith that it is not the end of my road, because it's my desire to continue. And to continue without pain, and to continue in such a way to where my message eventually is understood in truth. No matter if it takes 2,000 plus years, it's finally understood. And that was Jesus's game of life. Jesus of Nazareth, he wished to play the game pretty hardcore. He went through a lot of life experience in a short period of time, and it led to his ultimate demise in the eyes of the witnesses who saw him die on the cross. And then in the same light, his truth was revealed in resurrection, and he was witnessed as resurrected. And what that did was it made him into something that people could finally understand, but still it was misinterpreted. He was believed to be the only one who could do it, when the truth of the matter was just as people were healed from their blindness, as wine was made from water. All of these things were being managed by a superior intelligence known as the Father of creation. And Jesus was surrendering perfectly to this every time. He was surrendering to it all with perfection. He didn't have to do seances. He didn't have to light candles or say a mantra. If people believed themselves to have these results, they had the results. Because each and every person was made in the image and likeness of this superior intelligence. And by no means is this blasphemy to say that Jesus of Nazareth is not the only one who has a kingdom of heaven within. Otherwise, why would it be depicted in such a clear manner by his disciples in the recollection of his discourses? All the disciples understood, for the most part, especially Paul and John, they understood that the kingdom of heaven was within because they started to witness the miracles of their faith by living from the end and believing themselves to have salvation in whatever form it was, whether it was being lowered down the walls in a basket from escaping the Pharisees in Damascus, to understanding that the kingdom of heaven truly is within and that you must become like a child. And if thine eye be single, then thy body be full. These types of things became very apparent. And it was just a slow distillation over time, not blasphemy by any means. However, you will find that the forces that be that have great religious fervor find themselves idolizing a being that is outside of themselves, a human form that to them is God. And if you question this in any way, shape, or form, then you become at opposition and the enemy. And so this is no different than the Pharisees in the way that they treated Jesus of Nazareth. They saw him as a threat because he was being seen by people as someone who wasn't their king, but rather their access to their own personal kingdom. So what happened was propaganda went about and made him the king of the Jews. This is what he was labeled. And so it was a propaganda campaign thrown against Jesus of Nazareth. We're going to make him the king of the Jews. He claims to be the Messiah. He claims to be the Savior of all of us, right? And so through this judgment and through propaganda, he was chastised, tortured, and crucified. And someone who truly committed heinous crimes was freed in his stead. Barabbas was freed. But we got a beautiful, this looks to be, to me, I've never seen it here, but I think this is a sacred 7. We'll take a look at it. If it comes dislodged, oh, it's a biggie. It's a big stone. That is a massive, massive stone. Hold on a second. This is crazy. This is a gemstone, I think. Hold on a second. Right on the trail, which is fair game, by the way. Anything on the trail. This is crazy. Gospel of Thomas. In the Gospel of Thomas, there are these sayings that reveal quite a bit about existence and consciousness. They are esoteric in a certain way. But Jesus does talk about how if you bring forth that which is within you, it shall save you. Do it not, and it shall destroy you. Because the consciousness that gives us a life, this life principle that cares for us, loves us so unconditionally that it would be fine, or it's not fine about being better or worse. It simply would allow us to use the imagination to bring our own imminent destruction without any judgment. Yeah, this is a beautiful stone. This is either a smoky quartz. I don't know. It's just really big and beautiful. It's semi-transparent. And it was right here. Johnny Jackie says, I have a slingshot for that stone. All right, Johnny, it's right here for you. It's right there for you. Hey, you followed. Thank you. Amanda, thank you for following. Got a lot of new folks coming in today. Love it. You're welcome, Johnny. That's what I'm here for. Phoenix says, let's see, hold on, we have Light Warrior Reborn sent love. I don't know why that was blocked. It has been calcified, says Gen X Laura. And then Phoenix says, quite appropriately, let's pin this. This is not us ganging up on you, Phoenix, but I want everyone to offer you love for your own rebirth. Since you've chosen that name, it means you probably aren't opposed to the idea of a rebirth today. We tell people to go away all the time. We don't say it so directly as you have, but I'll tell you, we say it with our actions, because what it does is it allows our identity to feel safe from death and obliteration. Here's a chickadee. Hello, chickadee. Yeah, we fear death so much that we would wish to see people separate from us and pushed away and at a distance from us so as to be free from any possible threat of obliteration. And all that is our egoic self trying to control our actions. It leads to impulses. Because the truth of the matter is, you're trying to push me away. Maybe it's me that you're talking to. Maybe it's someone else. It doesn't really matter so much. You're speaking to someone who is a result of your consciousness flowing through you to give you a life experience. So you've already rendered me, right? You've rendered me, and now you want me to go away. So what this does is it sends a mixed message to the subconscious. Because you came here, you were motivated enough to say something, to type in and manifest something through your words. Yet you wanted me to be pushed away at the same time. So what that does is it leads to a syntax error with the subconscious. Better to say, I see no William here. I don't see William here. This guy, I don't see him here. He's on my phone. Right, very good. There's your manifestation. I'm on your phone. Now I'm no longer before you to where you have to feel like you have to push me away. I'm actually just an image saying frequencies, which are sounds, words, that are being interpreted no longer because I'm just an image on your two-dimensional phone screen. See, I'm no longer here. You can pretend that I'm here and I'll persist. But truthfully, I'm not here until you see me again. And even then, I'm still an illusion on your two-dimensional phone. See? So I've technically gone away if you want me to, but I could also be here persisting. Whose responsibility is that? That's the question. And if I were to go away, would this somehow bring you relief? Now that is a misnomer as well. That's misleading. Because the next time you want something to go away, what happens if it doesn't? If suddenly the world outside of you is no longer listening to the things that you desire. It's staying because you're saying, go away, is the same as saying, come to me. I want more of these life situations. I'm feeling this the most, so come to me. You have to understand how attraction works. Right? This is how the law of attraction works. You say to someone, go away, leave me alone, they're going to persist. You're giving them attention, you're giving them your vital energy. And the subconscious is receiving this as a syntax error. Can't process, don't. Don't do. It's a life principle. It's not a death principle. It's not a go away principle. It's a manifestation principle. So whatever follows that don't, it shall manifest more of it if you feel it the most. That's it. That's how it works. In Phoenix, you've experienced your rebirth. And you're welcome. I gave it to you for free. Actually, I didn't give it to you for free. You gave me your energy, but I just don't need it. I don't need your energy. I have plenty. I have infinite source here. William understands this. He's an identity that understands he has infinite source. He doesn't need your energy. But if you're giving it, I'm going to use it liberally, like it's just an extra. I wish you wouldn't. Johnny says, I get distracted on the internet several times an hour. TGA, thank you for following. Chris J. Beal, thanks for Patriot. Thank you for following. John A. says, hi, William. Sorry I've been distracted lately. Nice to see you. John, it's great to see you. Don't apologize. You've been going through life, playing the game. Lon says, oh, nice. I'm in Ohio. Looks the same as Virginia. Backwoods of West Virginia. Oh, that's a response too. Okay. Sticks Drummer Gal. Thanks for following. Michelle, thanks for sharing. Lulu Bell says, hello, handsome. That's very nice to hear. Thank you, Lulu. Lon says, are you in Appalachia? Love from Ohio. Thank you, Lons. And we're caught up. It was a good one, though. Miss Ruth, thank you for following and saying hello. Nice to see you. So I use these examples because for a number of reasons. The identity doesn't want to be told go away. It perceives it as a threat to their own existence. It goes way back to the feeling of trying to preserve oneself from threats of environmental circumstances, right? Before we understood that we were the creators of our reality, we had to go through the game as Neanderthals, escaping great peril all around us all the time. So before we had the great prefrontal cortex installed into our identity, into our body, until that happened where we could process things for their truth and understand who we are, we were just running and fighting against everything that we could or running from everything that we could for mere survival. Those systems still exist in the brain. They just exist in a different area. It's called the central nucleus of the amygdala. Amygdala, which is like a little nut. I think amygdala also means nut, which is cool. Anyway, the central nucleus of the amygdala is our fear center. And it's the first area of the brain to get dedicated energy and bandwidth when we're going through an excitable life experience where we're saying no to the present moment. So it's the first to get activated. And what we need to do is allow, through training and discipline and meditation, that process to just work its way through the cells of the body and through our reassurance of the cells of our body by breathing in a calm manner and perceiving things not personally, not labeling, but just observing our aliveness. We start to redirect all of that to the prefrontal cortex and have a much more pleasant life experience. So it can be anything is threatening you. It could be any no-based present situation. And now suddenly, there's no longer a feeling of threat. Instead, it becomes a marker of opportunity to magnetize and draw in the energy that is being thrust toward you. Because it's just energy. Vital life force. Yes. Energy lady. It's called adenosine triphosphate. Jonathan Veltri, thanks for following. So, yes, when someone is directing hate or aggression, in this instance, go away, don't be here. I'm driving this home so hard because it's a use of one's own vital energy or currency in the form of adenosine triphosphate, also known as ATP. So in this tree here, this tree has ATP as a eukaryotic life form. And what it requires is oxygen and glucose and electrons. And through an electron transport chain, or ETC, there is the creation through mitochondria, which are the furnaces of the body. Think of them as power plants. They create this currency called ATP. So every time we think, Every time we walk, every time we talk, anytime we entertain anything before us, and consciousness runs before us itself, we must be spending a certain amount of currency. Now, some things cost more than others. One of the great costs that comes to us when we're spending our ATP currency is when we use our imagination for the creation of time. Bear with me. Creation of time. What is this guy talking about? There's a past, it's real, and the future's going to be here anyway too, so that's also real. No, it's not. Actually, we only have this present moment right now until we use the imagination to create something other than it. So what we have is the standard that doesn't cost much at all. In fact, we get a lot more return on investment from just being here in the present, because we're not using vital energy to construct time sequences, time constructs. If we're just present, then our efficiency increases dramatically. And we're able to take in a lot more currency, and that currency can be redirected towards things that we actually desire, because no one truthfully desires to push someone away. They'd rather them not be there, or they'd rather be in a different situation where they're totally free, so it doesn't matter. Just like an NPC in GTA doesn't matter to the gamer. They might have to talk to them for the advancement of story, but if the NPC on the side of the road in San Andreas says, "Hey, you asshole, get out of my way," it's like, you're not going to be thinking about that all day, taking it personally. It's like, haha, the NPC said something funny. That's basically it. Because if you're using all of your time to be angry with the NPC, to pummel the NPC into submission or push them away, first of all, they're not going to help you advance the story any further. It might actually sabotage the mission you're on. Two, it's not going to advance you anywhere, and it's going to be wasting your time and your energy where you could be having fun. So if we start to look at this like a game, that we have currency, and every time we have a conscious experience, there's a certain expenditure, we can start to come into being and decide where it is we're going to be spending our hard-earned money. Because our money is hard-earned. I mean, it's coming from a number of sources. We have to pull in oxygen. We have to take electrons in from our free environment. They have to work with the mitochondria that under oxidative stress does not work very well. So we would rather our Federal Reserve System be very efficient, very evolved, and really well treated, so that it can produce the maximum amount of efficient energy for us to entertain the things that we really want to pay attention to for our lives, which is wish fulfillment. So yes, it is energy, and energy does not die. You can spend it, you can transfer it, but you can't destroy it, because it is a life principle that gives it. This energy cannot be destroyed. So energy and consciousness, you could argue and say they're one and the same. They are constant, and they're all the time looking for ways to express itself through things, by animating them and giving them conscious experience to evolve. We being the pinnacle of that consciousness as human beings made in the image and likeness of the source itself. So we spend it, not burn it. That's a wonderful way to say it. Lovely, thank you for following. Sony, this is a beautiful way to say this. And for those who are coming in, this is saying we're talking about the currency of life as adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, is spent like a currency rather than burned like an energy, right? The idea is it is a form of energy, but it is more currency that we're choosing to spend on things that we buy. And one of the things that are most costly for us to buy, that costs a lot of energy, is when we use the imagination, which is our Christ consciousness that has no limit, to construct an image and an experience of time. So we construct the past. I could say, my name is William. I've just used my imagination to construct a sequence of time that encompasses William's life experience. And now you can use the imagination to construct a period of time to define what William means to you. Anytime you're looking to find meaning out of something, there has to be a construction of time. And of course, this is a necessary component of life, because we're here to make sense of things. In a dualistic world, it is very illusory or illusion-based, but we are also here to have a life experience and to feel things. So that's why we're given the currency. If we weren't here to feel things and spend this money, this currency on things, then we wouldn't have been given consciousness and the currency to begin with. So we're here to spend it. And we can spend it any way we like. Just understand that it takes a lot more processing power from the individual body. The cells themselves have to spend a lot of currency in order to create a construct of time that it believes itself to be embedded in that has already happened. Okay? Conversely, something that has not happened yet and likely never will, to construct something like that and to live it and believe it requires a great expenditure of your life currency. I'm just saying it. And what ends up happening is, because it costs so much and it really isn't real, and we do it so unconsciously, we find ourselves falling into a habit that we're okay with revisiting these situations so long as we feel something different than being here in the now and not knowing what to do, because we feel like we need to know what to do. We feel like we need to have a plan. We have to solve this because that's the game of life. When the truth of the matter is, if you arrive in this present moment now, I mean, if you are truly present, it is no different than you spectating a loading screen. It may appear very threatening and very real, but you are perceiving a loading screen. And this loading screen requires minimal currency to load. It's very efficient. The only issue is we don't like to wait for things. The idea is the loading machine, the loading screen, becomes your heaven. How can a loading screen be heaven when it's just not changing and it seems to suck in comparison to what could be? Introducing the second part of the game of life that also does not require much currency at all to access. It is your nation of images in your mind, and it is called the imagination. So if you're not comfortable with what's being presented to you in God's manifold expression right now, then you have the option to step into your imagination and start adding things. Chickadee's like, that was off key. I'm pissed at you. That's my interpretation. How to use time for that judgment. But I seem to be happy having this life experience right now. I'm paying attention to the sounds and it's unfolding. But if I were not happy with this and I wanted to escape this, I also have that option without having to construct time and use my vital resources for its entertainment. I can step into the narrow gates of the nation of images in my mind, add any scenario, any life situation. Chickadee, don't be pissed. I'm friendly. I walk through here every day. Yeah. Chickadee's like, normally you walk. You normally walk. You're in my territory. Chickadees are very vigilant. They're also extremely cute and cute looking and very spiritual. But that's just me adding to the loading screen. You see, I've had enough time to work in the imagination. Let me explain to you. When you're using your currency for the imagination, you are leaving vital impressions upon the subconscious mind, which is the loading screen's source. And what it does is it says, this guy really likes the loading screen. Well, that gives us a big break from having to construct all these time-based scenarios. So what we can feed him is essentially his kingdom right here. It doesn't cost much. It's easy to process because it's actually truth. It's happening right now. So I can unwind all the other stuff at the same time that used to be a distraction while he enjoys this beautiful loading screen of life as a spectator. He's happy with the spectator mode. Cool. We can do a lot of work with this. Not only that, the cells of the body, this is the best part, arguably. When you're using your imagination, your cells already get a chance to receive and experience your change. So whereas you might be still perceiving this as your individualized echo, the cells of your body believe themselves to be on vacation wherever it is that you're going in your mind. This phenomena is called epigenetics. It's studied in great length and depth by Bruce Lipton and Dr. Joe Dispenza and Deepak Chopra, amongst others. You would say that they're fringe, but I would argue Joe Dispenza, is a full-blown doctor, so is Dr. Bruce Lipton. And these folks have been doing tons of studies and blood tests and encephalographs and otherwise using other instruments that are state-of-the-art to see how genetics changes. The DNA changes from the environmental shift that you are imagining through the mind's eye. The cells feel the difference first, and then they express themselves outward. So this is very exciting. What this basically states is that we become what we think about, that subatomic phenomena that Einstein was running from is in fact founded in science. That when we entertain thoughts, we're spending currency on those thoughts, and we can choose whatever it is we want. Notice how I'm not knocking the person who wants to spend their currency on the creation of time sequences to relive them over and over again. The only issue I find is when that individual who's entertaining them tells me that that must be my reality too. That's when our kingdoms cross, and that is called trespassing. Literally trespassing on the kingdom or the land of another ruler when it's not necessary. Because the imagination is an infinite, boundless kingdom. For someone to say, you must be this way because I demand it, is trying to perceive the human being as something lesser than made in the image and likeness of God. That is trespassing. And it is one of the 10 commandments that you do not steal or covet thy neighbor's things, their peace, their space, their spouse, or their life itself. These are vital errors. And what they do is they lead to more syntax errors and what I would call it an accumulation of a debt. It's an accumulation of a debt because life currency is being spent on the trespassing of a Godhead, another human being, made in the image and likeness of God, trespassed, and the currency is being spent on that leads to a debt. And it's a self-imposed one. It's an energetic, currency-based debt. So how do we get around this? How do we manage this? The moment that you feel any lack, and I mean any restriction in your life, the moment that you try to, that some force seems to be trying to convince you that it's caused by something outside of you, whether it's a person or a life situation, this is the moment for you to catch yourself in understanding that this is a narrative, it is a life situation that has been created by entertainment, and it is being entertained right now. Currency is being spent on it, and narrative is continuing to be built, more pages being added with more detail of how this has caused problems and led to a number of issues. Before that turns into a monstrous occasion where other people are brought in, because it's extremely attractive for other people to lose themselves in story. Unfortunately, no one knows what this does to the cells of the body for the most part. Very few people pay attention to it. So they fall into these debts with others and with themselves, and the cells start to abandon ship. Or they turn in a coup. That's called illness. Your immune system gives up on you, and the cells start to mutate, turn into the enemies that you believed them to be, by placing them in an environment of contention and lack. And it's totally a choice, and it's absolutely welcome until you are stepping on the land of another human, their kingdom of heaven within. This is why you must love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as infinite. Love your neighbor as wish fulfilled. Love your neighbor as totally peaceful and filled with health. Because this is what you wish for yourself. At the same time, you may not wish for this. So here's what happens. Because of subatomic phenomena, quantum mechanics works in a very unique way. I'll try to explain this to you, and if you don't understand, you're welcome to actually ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. But I'm going to explain to you what happens as far as timelines go, okay? Humboldt says, this is what I've done. You're speaking to me directly. Humboldt, you are speaking to yourself as the source of aliveness, having communion with you. Bathe in that truth that you're creating this. And we're co-creating together because we're on the same radio station. Some part of you, your identity, Humboldt, and some part of the William identity needs to have this exchange. But aside from this, we're being powered by the source that heals it all. And we don't need to know the way. So your openness to say this is simply an admittance of coming into power. You're stepping into your kingdom. You're putting on your crown. You're being anointed by heaven. It's a beautiful thing. And your ego can't see it. So it can be pretty terrifying for the ego. Remember once again that all life situations are constructed through time. And when you are present loving yourself in this way, it's just you and God in a bubble. You're in the womb of creation, totally protected and being nourished. Rest assured. Sun Wukong, thank you for following. John Hen, you too. And Angels Care too. Thanks for the heart puff. Pelio says he does this. Yes, remember, William would love to believe that he is the cause of your salvation, but that would lead him to becoming a guru and a false idol. You don't want that for him because he doesn't want it. He just wants to be the radio picking up the radio station that delivers you the goods. That is a comfortable place for him to be, and it's acceptable enough. Thanks, Pelios. Servant Key says, I remember I have awakened to all. It's beautiful. Yes, you have. That's your declaration of power. You've spent currency on this affirmation to the subconscious. It listens and responds. You are healing. Abby says, I just got a notice of eviction. Very concerned. Let's use this, Abby. First of all, it's very honest. It's open. It's a powerful statement. It's also something that I can imagine you don't desire and you don't want, right? So this is where you are being put to the test to exercise faith. This doesn't mean you're going to stop doing the things that in your gut intrinsically you know you need to do, that you can do. So you know they're the things that you can do that will bring you in a direction of wish fulfillment through action. That's called intuition, trusting your gut. Aside from that, the place where I want you to be right now is you've never received a notice. It's never a possibility. You're on your perfect estate with the perfect upgrades and the perfect life situation that you would be most happy exploring and enjoying right now. The ego is going to hate me for saying this and suggesting it because right now it's got what it believes to be a narrative that is fixed, that cannot be changed, and therefore it can continue feeding off of your construction of time. But it's not going to help you because it's not going to give you solutions. It's going to want you to create more problems so that it can continue to feed off of your construction of time. That's what the ego wants. Construction of time for survival. So once life situations like this, and the more permanent they seem to be, the more harrowing and dangerous and impossible to overcome as hurdles, the more comfortable it becomes feeding off of your aliveness. It's not fair to you, however. So we're going to cauterize that wound, and we'll start with an exercise that takes us out of the life situation by force. Sometimes we need to do it. So let's all do this together, and the reason why we should all do this together is because we'll add coherence to this. It's like everyone has a laser beam, and now we're going to put them all together and concentrate right now on how this melts whatever pain remembrances might exist in a collective. We're just going to burn it all, and it's going to get everything that we need for all of us through coherence. I want everyone to imagine, with your eyes closed, a birthday cake before you. You don't have to add any other details, just a cake, please. We've all been through birthdays enough to know what they look like. Let's have them lit with candles, okay? So there's a cake before you, and they're lit with candles, and those candles are slightly waving. The flames are there, and they're burning. Take a deep inhale, and in the next out breath, I want you to blow out those candles. Go ahead and do that now. Blow out the candles. Just relax and breathe normally with your eyes closed. You're watching as all the candles are out. Whatever trail of smoke and effervescence is there, you're witnessing it. It's not important. Now start an activity that you're going to give your mind. It's I'm breathing in every time you breathe in, and I'm breathing out every time you breathe out. And you're going to say this in your mind. With every in-breath, I'm breathing in. Do that now. And I'm breathing out. And do this through the nose. The reason why we're doing this through the nose is twofold. One, and I'll explain this as briefly as possible. Keep breathing through the nose while I explain this. Just let the words flow in. The meaning will find its way. You don't have to think about it too much. In fact, the more you do, the more distracting it is for its absorption, because it sends you in a state of panic. You don't need to be there. Come back to the birthday cake again. See the lights lit on the cake. It's not a trick. It's just we're doing the exercise again. Deep inhale. Blow out those candles. Okay, witness that. Now come back to I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. Keep your eyes closed. I'm going to walk while you are with your eyes closed, breathing, monitoring your breath, giving your mind a job. Yes, it's a simple job. It's not very exciting, but it's important. So every time you breathe in, I'm breathing in, and you're doing this through the nose. When you breathe out, you're exhaling through the nose. Now, you might have the narrative, I can't breathe through my nose, I have congestion, it's impossible, it hurts. Okay, just breathe normally. I can concede to that. Do your best. Whatever your best breath is right now, you're still monitoring it. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. I'm breathing out. And the reason why we're doing this is twofold. Through the nose, we're taking in compressed air through the nostrils. 2 points of entry. They're compressed. They're smaller than the mouth, which is a big fat vacuum filled with bacteria. It's the first stage of digestion, so we're going to avoid the mouth entirely. As you're bringing in this compressed air through the nose, it gets filtered through your nostril hairs first. As that's filtered, it stimulates the cells right around the internal part of the nose where the membranes are, and that warms the air. At the same time, nitrogen from that air that's coming in, makes about 3/4 of the air that we breathe is nitrogen, just a tiny bit of that gets absorbed in those cell structures, which are unique to the body, and they only exist in the inside of the nose. They absorb slight amounts of nitrogen when you breathe in, and then they convert it into nitric oxide. That nitric oxide sends signals to the brain to release endorphins of pain relief and calm. That's why we're doing it. Selfishly. We're breathing in this warm, filtered air, compressed and coming through. It then gets warmed even further and brought to the upper respiratory system, bypassing the petri dish that is the mouth, passes through the esophagus, upper respiratory, and brings vital, filtered, warm, clean air to our respiratory system while we're getting the nitric oxide. A lot of things are happening. At the same time, you're monitoring. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. Now you can see the whole system benefiting you. All this wealth being generated in the body, all of this efficiency that otherwise was not here before. Now I want you to come back to that cake. Eyes are closed. Deep inhale, blow out those candles again. Go ahead. Blow out those candles. Okay. So the candles are blown out. You're watching the effervescence again. And now this time, I want you to imagine yourself in the perfect body at the perfect life experience, having whatever situation unfold before you that you desire right now. And in the case of bills are paid, it's not so much an enjoyable thing to know that the bills are paid. So you're going to actually put yourself in a situation where you're never even thinking about the bills being paid. It's just a given. It always happens. And how it happens also doesn't matter so much, as you're enjoying something that is completely unrelated and so much more joyful. But it could be the joy is to pay the bill, so you could just go to that. If that's the most joyful experience right now, the relief that comes washing in the moment that you're paying that bill, you could go there. That's fine. Feel free to do that. And just be in that body. The perfect, mobile, wish-fulfilled body. Okay? You're having the conversations that you want to have. So if it's a conversation with the bank, it's, oh, hello, so-and-so. Nice to see you. You're here to withdraw some more cash. Yeah, we got some extra coming in from your interest rates. We want to thank you for being our most valued customer. You could say that in your mind. You could do that. So however it needs to unfold for you, go ahead. But allow yourself that freedom to enjoy it. This is how we exercise the imagination properly. Anytime doubts come about, simply say to yourself, that does not move me. And then go right back to your scene. If it persists further, you can return to the birthday cake and then monitor your breath again. You can always return to the breath. Here's the best part. If you are maintaining 12 full cycles of breath in 1 minute, 12 or less, in 1 minute cycle, then your parasympathetic nervous system automatically gets activated and you start to go into a state of relaxation and calm that you can force upon your body like a light switch, so long as you're breathing with that concentration. That's what's beautiful about the breath. It gives you the endorphins, and it also gives you the regulation of your calm. This is why it's literally your Holy Spirit, that which keeps you complete and whole. Dead, tired, numb. Thanks for following, folks. While you're in your imaginative state, I'm just going to catch up on people here because I want to show some love for all the love that's coming in. 16.2K love bubbles. Thank you. All those love hearts coming in. Michelle Sparkles, thanks for sharing as much as you do and for your kindnesses. Nail Driver, 50 pounds. When those trees are covered with leaves, can you even see the sky? Yes, you can, though it is different, Nail Driver. That's a beautiful point. These are right now like bones. And so these are deciduous trees for the most part. I mean, there is one pine tree, which is an evergreen, but the majority of these are deciduous, which let go and die effectively. They go through a death cycle and a life cycle every year. Now that the earth is thawing, their resources are being sent up slowly. I mean, very slowly, to where eventually they'll start to sprout for their yearly canopy. Then all of their photosynthesis and everything they absorb will fall to the earth and serve as compost and also cover for a great number of animals. So the cycle is perfect, and it's designed to keep renewing and improving year after year, which is beautiful. That is the life principle. It's designed to cycle and improve so long as it is undisturbed. Diamond Queen, great to see you. Thank you for sharing. Lovely says, how to let go of hypervigilance from child trauma. Want cells to feel love and health. Very open, honest question coming from Lovely Lotus Designs. Thank you. Marie, I want to thank you for following. Just bear with me, lovely. I'm coming. Gideon, thank you for following. Diamond Queen says, in case no one has told you lately, you are loved, you are important, and you matter. Indeed, Diamond Queen, you are an embodiment of infinite intelligence who only showers us with love and care. Thank you. Humbled says, I forced my body into survival mode for 20 years. These are a lot of life situations being confessed in a state of peace and truth for your identity, and what it requires is courage. By no means am I judging you, nor is anyone else. We are in our wish-fulfilled state. These are life situations that do not define who we are in truth, and I say this only because I believe you to be more than that. So let's get to what Lovely has said here about hypervigilance, so we can, quote-unquote, tackle the life situation, which is really we're going to love ourselves more. That's all we're going to do. It's a form of loving self with more truth, so we can start using this currency of life in an appropriate, proper way for our wish fulfillment as kings and queens of the kingdom of heaven within. Princess Warrior says, loving your content. Thank you. You're most welcome. Mike Prieto, it's so great to see you always. Divine rising to you, my dear friend. Okay, so Lovely Lotus Designs comes through. The identity that is Lovely Lotus Designs says how to let go of hypervigilance from child trauma, wants cells to feel love and health. Well, the good news is, so long as you can transport yourself into a state of imagination as wish fulfilled now, your cells feel it. One of the pieces that is most challenging for us, however, Lovely, and no human is an exception, is that our physical reality is the last thing to respond. So as I mentioned, right now, these deciduous trees will be coming alive within the next few weeks. That transition is very slow from the state of being dead in hibernation to being alive. However, you can certainly count on the mycelium networks of bacteria and fungi that are basically creating a network for this entire forest to hold on to moisture and to distribute nutrients. They have got this tree's back. So just as those mycelium have this tree's back, you also have a source which has your back, and it's certainly every cell included. And the reason why I can say it with such conviction is because you come from one cell that is a progenitor life cell. It's called a zygote, and it's the combination of sperm and egg that led to your conception and carried within it. Just saw it got buzzed by a bird, a big one. Anyway, it's crazy. This one life progenitor cell is the greatest of stem cells. And it's from that cell that every one that has made your body, which has stored every life experience from childhood, has come from that cell. So you know that the intelligence is within you to create every cell, as well as heal every created life situation that the cells believe themselves to be going through every time there's a resurfacing of pain. And it happens for all of us in different ways, and it can be felt extremely intensely. So it's not to diminish those things, but it is to say that these life situations are now being constructed using your divine power by creating time. It's just to recognize this, and it may be challenging for the ego, for identity, to hear the fact that we are now constructing more of those life situations to revisit them. And what that requires to do so is a use of our vital energy as well as our infinite intelligence to create a time construct for its revisitation. So it's not so much that it's imposing itself upon us. It is the cells that have, through epigenetics, recorded these life situations into the cell structure. And what they're screaming for, more than letting you know that you're in pain, is that they want relief from that pain. But they don't know how to have relief from that pain, because they're not granted dominion over the kingdom of heaven as you are. Since you are the one cell, the one complete cell that has brought forth the rest of your body, it requires you to access that kingdom, which is your imagination, in order to give it a vacation from pain. So the way we do this is pretty practical. You're going to notice when your pain body is active, it's going to be a situation that feels like a no. And so when the no comes in, it is simply an opportunity. It doesn't mean you have to nail it every single time or even recognize it, but it is an opportunity for you to say, This is a life situation. My pain body is active, and it doesn't move me as much as I observe I am alive. And that doesn't mean you like the pain. That doesn't mean you concede to it. That doesn't mean that you enjoy it or fight it. What it means is that you recognize that you have an aliveness feeding you the life situation, and that you've now come into compassion for the cells of your body. By showing love for them, you show love for them by being present with them. Just like a parent would be present with a child who's crying. You're becoming the parent for your cells because you are the parent of your cells. They all come from you. You're now becoming the one who consoles the child who's going through a situation that they don't understand. And you're changing the environment for them at the same time by going into your imagination and imagining yourself being in salvation. And that for everyone is different. Salvation for me is coming to the woods and being around the stream. It's also spending time laughing with my children. It could be having a loving walk with the perfect partner. It could be having the perfect meal. Whatever it is for you, you're living it directly in that moment. And what happens is the cells which are born from you feel that change and they go on vacation with you. And you have given them not only the consolation of presence as a parent to your cells, but also the gift of vacation from the pain. And they feel it first, and then you start to feel it. Once the cells have enough relief to unwind whatever that is that has caused pain from earlier times, which is frustrated love wound up into cell structures, starts to have a chance to loosen up and let go. And we have no part in that. Just as we have no part in the healing of our wounds when we're cut, that healing process is managed by a superior intelligence, takes care of it for us. The only thing we have to do is choose the meals we're going to have, which is the same as choosing the things we want to become, and go there and experience it. The one thing we're not going to feel that is different in the imagination from what we see here is we won't be having the sensory experience that is external, but we will be having the sensory experience that is internal, which is the feeling of relief. The cells get that, and they're having a full-blown vacation from traumatic life situations. What this is called is presence. It's parenting for your cells. It's coming into your power, and it's becoming the sole proprietor of your aliveness as an identity. It's self-love. Okay. I pray that this has answered or perhaps given you the understanding of your truth and power and being, and that you now understand your truth and are now a guardian of your cells, which are telling you when they're in pain, don't know how to solve it like a young child wouldn't know, and they simply need the guidance, not in a lesson, not in being told you better get over this or you're going to be masked with these psychotropic medications. No, forgive me, you're just going to give it a vacation. Through the imagination, it's sufficient enough for it to feel it. In fact, it is the life change that it's looking for. Okay. Bird, thank you for following. Summertime, thank you for following. TTBug2216, thank you for following. Dream Baby, thank you for following. Woman Patriot 17, thank you for sharing. Denise, thank you for following. Princess Warrior says, loving your content, thank you. MK, thank you for following. Lovely Lotus Design says, that was beautiful. Thanks for your presence, love, and wisdom. Grateful for you. Here's the best part, lovely. It came from your infinite source, which brought in your life experience from the very beginning. It was consciousness that is your truth, and you are now a perfect parent to the cells of your body. You're nourishing them, and you're caring for them, and you're a guardian for them. The best part is, no one can steal your consciousness. No one can steal your imagination. No one can destroy it, no one can take it from you, and no one can place your cells under that duress unless you consent to it. You've now come into your power and truth. All right, so that's good. It's a good thing to know that you are in your power. And we're going to come in and out of it. Like I came out of it yesterday, you know. People, you can come watch the video from yesterday, right in that very spot. Yesterday, I was lamenting about getting 2 violations and the audience being cut off to where we had 15 viewers. And I was feeling and lamenting the life situation And what I felt was the love from the community lifting me. There was enough coherence between us. There was enough light that everyone had reserves to offer. So what happens is, as you are in your power, lovely, you are now accumulating reserves in the form of self-love that your cells can deliver to you and do instantly in gratitude for the love that you've given them. This is the law of Newton's law, third law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If you serve your cells, all 50 trillion of them, then they turn and serve you in kind. That's what you're doing. You're paying it forward. And that's what parents do. Parents go through pain as their child is going through pain. And the parent can't complain about it. The parent doesn't want to complain. The parent wants to seem strong. The beauty of this is, in doing this for ourselves, we receive a benefit later. And when that comes and how it arrives is totally dependent upon your life situations and what you entertain the most. But it is a guarantee because it is law. Law is another word for Lord. And the law is we become what we think about, and for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And the inertia that constantly carries through is a caring, loving life principle known as consciousness that we have been given as a gift for having won and come in to being as human. Yes, we all won this. We won consciousness. We competed against 250 million others for the cosmic egg, and we were the ones who arrived. We were the chosen ones, all of us. And so the result of being chosen and making it is the gift of consciousness. It is a life principle which cares so much that it does not interfere. It simply listens and wants to know itself through us. Whatever we decide is truth, it believes as truth. Because its care is unbelievable, it's infinite, it's limitless. It just believes. C-Flow says, yeah, lucky dad of 13 says, I am lucky. Indeed you are. And chosen. C-Flow asks, so this is an estimate. The average ejaculate is around 250 million sperm. In most instances, we are one out of that fertilizes the cosmic egg. So we are lottery winners in that sense. In our unification with the egg, we are given something greater than the sum of the parts. The sperm and egg joined together releases zinc in the form of a light flash, followed by mitosis in the splitting of our one cell into trillions that are now the human body. The human body is about 37.2 trillion, some estimate even close to 100 trillion cells. And within each cell, there are 100 trillion atoms. So it's a lot of cosmic dust and a lot of intelligence at work, having come from one single cell. So we are that, and there are 7.9 billion of us who have all won the lottery in the same way. Scientifically proven. I mean, it's pretty simple. Let's just say the odds were 150 million, 250 million at this point in time. It doesn't really matter so much, as we are all given consciousness through a very unique way in this combination of sperm and egg. We were chosen, and we were all given the imagination as a result, which makes us exclusively in charge of what happens to this life situation, because we're the only ones who have access to the imagination. And each human being has their own domain, their own mind, which is really beautiful. So that's why Jesus of Nazareth said, I am the king. However, my kingdom is not of this world. It's like, okay, what are you, an alien? Which planet are you from? No, it's the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven is the gift of consciousness. It's a caring life principle. which gives you the imagination in order to think yourself into reality, however it is that you see fit. Everyone is granted this gift. No one is an exception as human. We are all made in the image and likeness of this superior intelligence, and that is why we are on the pinnacle of consciousness, the center of all things. Okay? And we're coming into being in a beautiful way. We happen to have chosen this timeline. We're constructing this timeline as co-creators. This construct that we're living in right now is experiencing unity consciousness. I mean, can't you feel it? Every time you prompt AI, it gives you the answer. Pretty soon, that's every thought that you have. Prompts gives you an answer. It's no different than using your imagination, except you have direct manifestation power in the physical world before you. That's the next shift. And eventually we'll become tired of that and we'll want to be reset back into this world of restriction. This is how the cycles of life work. We won't want to be in that infinite source forever. We'll want to experience these restrictions again in duality. So we will express ourselves again. It's always been this way. This isn't the first time. Pretzel has returned. Yeah, so Len Bruyere, thanks for following. Ace Widman, thanks for following. Juanita Day, thank you for following. Seaflow says, that's wild. Thank you for explaining. You're more than welcome, Seaflow. I know you got another question. I'll get to it. How are you handling these uncertain times? So it's like this. They are life situations, and sometimes I handle them what I believe to be very well. Other times I handle them poorly. And so the bottom line is to understand that we are all co-creating these hard times and that we have control over them rather than having them imposed upon us. That's a narrative. We construct that narrative using our aliveness. So it's better to come into being by understanding that we're building that story. We're writing that book, essentially, right? Anytime we label something, anytime we define something, we're essentially adding more label to it. So the question then becomes, for your own personalized kingdom, for CC's kingdom, how would you like that to unfold? Because it's unfolding based on how you think. We happen to be in synchronistic co-creation right now, but that certainly doesn't mean that it's going to be through the entirety of our timeline. Because if I want something different than you, and I imagine it as real, then I'm setting into motion a manifold expression of my wish fulfillment that is unique and tailored specifically for me. And that's not selfish. Just as someone, if they wanted to destroy themselves with the imagination, is not selfish. It's a personal decision. It's only until we say that someone else has to feel the same way as me, that you have to embrace where my wish fulfillment is, and you have no choice. That's where I put my foot down and I say that's trespassing, because we all have an infinite kingdom within that knows the means and the way to manifest anything, so as not to interfere or trespass upon that. And that's really the only thing. So I have lots of happiness going back and forth discussing stories and timelines. And you may love the timeline that I'm talking about and want to be part of it, and then all you have to do is imagine it. But you may not like the timeline that someone else is saying or that I'm saying, and all you have to do is imagine something else. Without imagining me being in peril. I suggest against that, because what that does is it sets me in a timeline in your world where I go into peril, and I will appear as in peril. This is the Schrodinger's cat example. You should look into Schrodinger's cat. In the box, there's a dead cat and an alive cat. Depending on what you think about, that's the result for that. It doesn't mean the cat's died, and it doesn't mean the timeline has ended for the cat. It means if you imagine it being dead or in peril more than anything else, then a timeline goes into motion that you observe. It is illusion because the life principle is constantly giving life. For all things that are alive, the only difference between all things that are alive and human is that we're given direct access to that idea of creation through the imagination. And I believe that that is exclusively human. It is bigger than us as identity, for sure, CC. The idea is that the identity is constructed from the aliveness that is consciousness. So we're a construct of consciousness. This body, this identity, my accumulation of life experiences, my education, the color of my skin, all of my features, all of my characteristics, the language that I speak, the things that I like versus not, are all life situations recorded into an identity. And the aliveness that feeds it is so much greater. This is why trying to control it or trying to be in charge of it as an ID, as an identity, is a moot point. It's a total failure to do so. It's like trying to tell a square that it's in charge of the cube when it's just a single component of 6. It can't do it. It has to surrender to it in unity with the rest. So when you surrender to a higher faculty, by being wish fulfilled in the mind of God, going into imagination, then that is surrender, and it manages the organization of things that might be out of place as undesirable. That's the way you do it. That's the ask. That's how you ask for things in truth. You imagine yourself living them. And that manages it. And it also manages the pathway. So some people say, well, I got bills to pay. It's like, yeah, okay, that's a narrative. If money doesn't appear to be there, it's not going to be paid. So what has to be there? Money. Okay, so that means you use a higher faculty to imagine the money being there, if that's the desire. If the desire is to never be presented with a bill again, then the bill is not there in that desire rolling out in the imagination. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it is wish fulfilled and fulfilling enough to feel at peace. Then that leaves an impression upon the subconscious and the rest is organized. So the means and the way is not necessary. This is what often gets in the way for people. We feel like, because we're constantly indoctrinated into believing we have to have the plans, we have to have the means to do this, we need to have all the steps in place in order for this to work, and if anything falls out of order, they need to be destroyed, or I need to fix it, or I need to change them. It's just tons of trespassing. It's trespassing because the ego believes that there's limitation that is imposed upon us that is outside of our control. And it does really believe that because it's never been given any access to the imagination. It's never had a single iota of time in the imagination because it feeds off of it. It's a parasite. So technically, this phantom ego is a parasite to consciousness. And it's holding on because I entertain it. That which entertains and observes it is more the truth of being. But we have these characters, and so it's like, all right, just like the placenta starts off as a blastocyst before it forms into a barrier of protection for the baby, this body needs to become a placenta instead of being some sort of virus. And the way that it becomes in service to us in truth is that it no longer has any say over the growth process or its recovery. That is entirely in the mind of God through the imagination. And all the other stuff that it once had power over, it now has very limited power. That would be my suggestion. Here's what you give the ego for tasks. Have it monitor your breath. Have it do your reps in the workout, if you're doing a workout. Have it manage basic things like the preparation of a meal. And just observe what it's doing. Like, okay, my identity that I've built through this aliveness is preparing a meal right now. That's presence. That means as long as you're doing that, the ego can't be like, dude, remember the last time you made this meal and so threw it in your face and they told you they hated you? That's the ego. That's the ego trying to get you into time again. You don't want to make that meal, man. You hate how it tastes anyway. You don't have all the ingredients that you want anyway because so-and-so did that thing to you. Remember when that happened? The ego is very clever because it wants to survive. It doesn't want to die. It wants to be in time. We've given so much energy and so much attention to our identity, making it believe that it's God, that it truly wants to be God still, and it really wants to be the CEO of our lives. It doesn't want to give up its power. It has momentum. It has all that attention. It's been wound up into the body and all of our cells. So what we have to be is compassionate towards it by checking out. We go on vacation in the imagination the ego can't come with, and if it tries to sneak its way in because of routine and habit, we give it a task again. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. I'm cooking, I'm walking on the trail, I'm talking to people on TikTok. But aside from that, I'm getting the hell out of the way when it comes to the words arriving through this guy. You know, ego, my ego self, William, is just like staying way out of the way. I'm just not even getting involved. And it works so much better for me. If I'm thinking, okay, what should I talk about next? You know, how am I going to help? How am I going to get more viewers? And that happens, but it's short-lived. Most days, it doesn't stay around long because it's a feeling of lack. I catch it. I look at the number, and instead of seeing it going down, because that's not my desire, I see it going up to 2.1, 2.5K, 10K. How does it feel at 10K? How does it feel at 20K? How does it feel at 1 million viewers? It feels pretty good. I'd rather have that, you know? It's like, so it goes down. That's the ego saying, see, I told you it wouldn't come true. It's because so-and-so did this to you. Someone is out to get you. Someone's trying to sabotage your account. It's like, okay, I choose not to entertain that. And I keep looking at the number, and the number's going up to 2K, 3K, 10K, and I'm breathing in, and I'm breathing out. And the ego's like, shit, I'm no longer CEO over this guy's life. Damn it. I'm losing momentum. And then the day will come where the ego is just like crying, you know? You mean you don't feel any of this pain anymore? You mean when someone says to you this thing and judges you, you don't feel it? Like you don't even register with it anymore? It's like, listen, man. There was a time and a place for that. But now, the place where I'm going, you can't see it, but I want you to know. One day you might. And when that happens, you'll understand. But I can offer you no guarantees. Just know that I'm there, living the wish-fulfilled life in the perfect scenario right now. Because it's so much better than you mismanaging my life. I gave you way too much power for so long. It's not your fault, ego. I came into this world unbeknownst to me. Your name and all of your life situations were thrust upon me, and that doesn't make me a victim as much as it makes it a life situation and a collection of them. But there comes a time where you can no longer be CEO when you mismanage a company, right? Otherwise, it leads to its dissolution. It leads to death. And so instead of the company dying, you just have to do some restructuring. And you know that you've got a senior partner who comes in and can manage everything. You don't have to worry about what it's doing on the sidelines because it is you. In truth, it only wants you to survive and be well. It only wants you to be healthy. It is your womb of creation. It sets up everything so that you can just float and be. And it's your imagination. It's your greatest salvation. And it's your kingdom. Yeah. Talking about your business. I know. I got to do it, though, as a performer here. It helps people. Alejandra Quesada, thank you for following. Tammy, thanks for the heart, me. Tarantimo says, hello, handsome. Thanks, Tarantimo. Appreciate it. Not so much as to send mixed signals, but I do appreciate it. Father of Ella, thank you for following. Truth Teller for you, thank you for following. GR says hi. Musical Weeb 92 says, everyone has some form of imagination, even if it happens to be incredibly boring. This is lovely. This is so true, too. Elaine C., thanks for following. This is so true. Everyone has an imagination. And, you know, I use this example. We had a viewer, Jessica, who came to us in one of the broadcasts and said, I have a terrible imagination. I can't exercise it well. It's really not good. So I used this example I say, hold your hand out before you and look at it. Look at your hand. And now, when you're ready, locate where your hand is with your eyes open, and then close your eyes and see if you can feel where your hand is. And if you have your hand extended, you're going to feel some tension there in the muscles, and you're going to feel a sensation of aliveness. And if you open your eyes again, you're going to see that your hand's still there. You're actually exercising your imagination with your eyes closed. When you close your eyes, you feel the presence of your hand. That's using your imagination. And when you open your eyes, it appears. That's manifestation. How cool is that? You see, the body manifests with such static rigidity, albeit it is vibrating and changing all the time, but it is such a conviction that we have that the body is very easy to co-locate. We close our eyes, we can feel the hands there, the ghost limb. Open your eyes, the hand's there. You've been given the reassurance of manifestation. And so then you can take it from there and you can say, okay, I see this tree before me. I see it at a distance. I'm going to close my eyes and see if I can imagine the tree. Now I'm going to open my eyes. Okay. Now I'm going to observe it some more. I see that it has a branch that's cut here and two growing from its place right near there. I'm going to see if I can close my eyes and imagine that. Okay, I can see it. I open my eyes. Yeah, it looks pretty consistent. So now I'm starting to flex the imagination a bit. And I'm extending its power. I'm basically learning new scales on the piano or the guitar that is this instrument. And you can add different things. Before you know it, you're adding yourself into a situation where you're in the perfect estate and the perfect life situations. And that's when it goes from being a boring practice to a really enjoyable life situation, unfolding with the mind of God at work. And you will have impressed your subconscious mind into listening to this song and bringing it forth as manifest, which is really lovely. It's a great exercise of power. Yeah, so we see manifestation all the time. We're manifesting all the time. Man-I-fest. So it's you're celebrating the appearance of your wishes. Festivities would be a celebration. I being the infinite. And mana is the idea of magic or this revealing, right? It is the great energetic reveal of what we've purchased. So we are essentially purchasing this for consciousness right now. This is what's on the plate for today. This is what's been purchased. You can look around you and you can see what's been purchased. Everything from, okay, this is the body that I purchased today based on all my life decisions. This is the sun and it's overcast based on all my purchases and my use of currency. What I've paid attention to. This is its manifold expression. And there is something good to be found in this. If I look carefully enough, if I pay enough attention to the now, I'll probably find something cool. There's always something cool to discover. There's this leaf that's just dangling here. It's got a story behind it. It sees that we're paying attention, starts dancing. Perhaps the wind's going to pick up. Maybe not. Maybe it'll die down. But whatever it is, it's going to be the message. It's going to be the message that you need today. Or maybe not. Maybe it's not the message. All is to say, we are present. And as long as we are present, we are using our currency appropriately for the accumulation of wealth, for later use or now use, for manifestation. When we are using our currency for the construction of time, we are revisiting in the past something that has already occurred. So it is not real. And we're using currency to go and view something and experience something and register something in ourselves that is not real. That is a misuse of life currency. Same thing goes with the future. If we're going into the future, creating a construct of time in order to entertain something that has not yet occurred, believing it to have occurred already, but it hasn't. We are misusing our life principle and our currency to generate a situation that is not real. So anytime we are generating something that is not happening in the present moment, we are utilizing currency in a way that is effectively sapping us dry. Not to mention we revisit it so frequently and unconsciously that it actually builds up into the body as pain remembrances. This is called a body of pain. And you can hear Eckhart Tolle talk about it, the pain body. It's when we build up all of these life situations through time into the cells to where the cells feel like they are literally incarcerated in jail, constantly belittled, constantly being told they're not worth anything. And they're screaming for solace and reclamation and freedom. And they don't know how else to scream but to give us immense amounts of pain. Fire it out. It comes in the form of inflammation. It comes in the form of disease. And eventually, if they are not heard for their screams, because of the torture we put them under by constantly spending our currency on life situations that are not real, they turn on us. And that's called cancer. That's the C word. It's just another form of mutation that happens when the cells have been born by us, but they feel like we birthed them to torture them and thrust them into a situation of immense pain. And of course, as above, so below, there's correspondence with this. If we as human beings feel that the world outside of us has thrust us into this situation without coming into our power, being granted the imagination as our salvation, then what ends up happening is the world before us appears to have turned on us, and we will turn against it. It's exactly what's happening. It helps you to understand the life situations. Marcus, thanks for following. Tara says hi. Hello, Tara. And for following, thank you. Lily says, why every time I see you on my FYP, you're in a forest? Yeah, it's a good question. Let's answer it. We got a question coming in here from Amber. As someone born with genetic pain condition, how would you explain that? Sure. So both of these situations, we can at least come to understand that Amber is a collection of even genetics that has been absorbed through family lineage and time that has left an impression upon your condition of life. So there's a life situation. You're born with something that seems to be thrust upon you by either your genetics, your family, or by some environmental factors working in conjunction. But it does play it out to be that it's been imposed upon you. And so, in truth, you have this life situation. There's a condition. But it is not you in truth. What you are is the consciousness that is allowing you to decide that there's a story. This story is, I was born, I have these things, and now I want to know how this guy that I'm looking at on the screen feels like he's in a position to tell me how I should be feeling about myself. And I want this to be answered now so I can make sense of this as to know whether or not I should push him away or come closer. Right? And so this is the ego. This is the ego trying to tell you that all you are is Amber, a collection of life experiences thrust upon you, including genetic factors that you have no control over. When in fact, every cell in your body, whether it's feeling pain or not, is a result of your conception. You were conceived as a single cell, and when you were conceived as a single cell, as much as you might have had impressions through chromosomal combinations and you had DNA presented to that cell, the intelligence within it has still the entire possibility to make anything happen for you. The removal of pain, its exacerbation, its proliferation, its continuation, or its ceasing. That intelligence exists in your body because that same intelligence was used to make what is believed to be a permanent condition occur. So it actually is a manifestation. And the more that you believe it is a permanent condition, the more you are feeding it into its reality. Reinforcing the fact that this is a permanent condition is your exercising of power, and it is your God-given right to do so. It's also your God-given right if you no longer wish to feel permanent conditions with your body that are pain-inducing. and pain restricting to relieve yourself from them. And the way that we do this is we have to become good parents to the cells in our body, which means that we're not going to feel the results that our children, our cells, are going to feel immediately by using the imagination to see them as healed. Now, understand this. If you go into your imagination right now, Amber, and you imagine yourself being free of pain, your ego, Amber, the identity, will no longer be with you. It will not be allowed into this kingdom. For you must become like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven within you. You will be stepping into your glory. And the only way for you to stay there is through the belief that you are wish fulfilled, healthy, and happy. Otherwise, you will be constructing a story that appears to be your salvation that's really run by the ego. So it's absolutely essential that we reset the body before we use the imagination in a way to where we feel we are calm and receptive to the knowledge that is coming. This knowledge is not coming from William Vincent Carlton. It is coming from a source that is giving me aliveness in order for you to feel relief, because it is the request. It's the ask. So here's how we reset the body. You close your eyes and you come into your breath, which means you're going to say to yourself, when you breathe in your mind, you're going to say, I'm breathing in. And as you breathe out, you're going to say, I'm breathing out. And it may be any sort of life situation happening right now. Just keep breathing as best as you can with this exercise. The ego is going to feel this, sense that there's a detachment from story. It normally has a total control over your life in getting you to believe that you have these permanent conditions. It's going to take this as a threat to its existence. And it's going to start to feel like it's being attacked in some way. You might actually feel this come up in your body. You might actually feel this come from the cells of your body. And it's just another way of your ego trying to convince you that what I'm telling you has nothing to do with your truth. That your ego knows better. And that it knows your salvation. It knows how to relieve you from your pain. So long as you keep thinking about how this is a permanent condition, you might actually be okay. And of course, you know that never comes through. You've never received relief from your ego. Never. So you start to refuse this story by saying, I no longer entertain this. I choose not to entertain this story. And even if you're feeling pain, even if you don't like it, even if you have what's considered chronic conditions and you're feeling the symptoms of them, what I want you to do more than anything else is to simply observe that they're happening. Try not to label them as awful or terrible. I just want you to observe it. See if you can keep monitoring your breath and observe this. Now, see before you a birthday cake lit. And I want you to take in a deep inhale through your nose, and I want you to blow out those candles on your out breath. Do that now. And just observe. Keep breathing, monitoring your breath. Say to yourself, in your mind, when your in-breath comes, I'm breathing in. You are choosing to monitor your breath, and you are choosing when to draw and release this breath. This is your power. So you're coming into power. Ego's going to say, don't do this exercise. I've got the way for you. I've got the solution for you. Please don't do this. Please don't listen to this quack. What's his education? Where did he go to college? Have you asked him that? Does he know what you've been through, all your trauma? Have you asked him about that? This doesn't move me as much as I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. If you think I don't know the ego, stay here. I've been told every story. Every story of permanent conditions that I would never overcome. I was told that I had the back of a 75-year-old at age 29, that I had osteoporosis and I would never recover, and I'd probably be in a wheelchair for life in a matter of a few years. Maybe months. And that was a narrative. And I found that narrative did not give me the freedom that I wanted to live a wish-fulfilled life. So I decided not to entertain it. I put my head in the sand and I put cotton in my ears and I said, that does not move me as much as I observe I am alive. And beyond that, I'm observing myself moving with great mobility. And I feel no pain, and I'm so grateful. So grateful that I'm free of pain. No matter what the world says, no matter what the chiropractor says, no matter what the doctors say, no matter how much they laugh at my lack of flexibility, I will continue to try to do a forward bend, imagining myself touching my toes, and I will eventually touch my toes. I am touching my toes. I am touching my toes. And I'm staying in it, and I'm breathing, and I feel no pain. Because every cell that has been fed life comes from the one cell that is my imagination. I am the skipper of this ship. And anything that is undesirable, I no longer entertain. I cast these burdens on the infinite intelligence within me, and I go free. I liberate myself from these pain remembrances. They no longer entertain me as they once did. And that, Amber, can be your narrative. And it doesn't have to be. I'm telling you right now, if the desire is to stay in a routine of comfort, questioning things and not accepting the answers, that is your choice. Just please try to understand it is your use of infinite power to decide those things for yourself. I believe in everyone more than their pain, because I know that pain sucks and most people don't want it unless they're masochists. That said, I won't throw out the possibility of there being some people who absolutely can't wait to see the imminent destruction of themselves in this world. And that's fine too. It's a timeline in their kingdom that is unique. It is the bowels of the earth. And we see it in our body too. There are bowels in our body, and we need to have them there. Just as we need to have a placenta in order to feed us the aliveness to become a child, there might be people who want to watch their life calcify around them. Let it be totally unfair. Every time they try to make some gains, they get a setback. It seems like all those resources are going to some place, down some hole, down some tunnel that I'll never see, never touch, never feel. And that might be your narrative. But it's not mine. And that's fine. I just want you to know that you have the option to be any part of this system at any time. It just might not happen overnight for the large majority, but for the cells, if you are there in your mind, they are already on vacation. And that is a form of self-love that is superior to all narratives. And I wish that for you. I wish that for everyone. So let me be crucified for it. Seriously, I say this to people. I say, if I'm to be blamed for something, let me be blamed for wanting people to be liberated from their pain and suffering. Let me be crucified for being the one who tried his best every single day by coming into the woods and trying to make it seem like you understand this truth, feeds you this aliveness, feeds you a good solid channel of truth so that you can come into a sort of power that maybe you didn't feel before. Let me be crucified for that. That's a good game. Because the final part of this is, if I am crucified to any of you lot, if I somehow drop dead before you on the screen, whatever it is, somebody comes up to me and puts a, whatever to my head, and off I go to you, rest assured I've just awoken. I've awakened to some scenario that you're not seeing. I've come into being somewhere else. Because that's my wish. That's my desire more than reaching obliteration. That always wasn't the case, though. Not until recently. Great number of times I imagined myself coming to ultimate peril, being destroyed. But something kept me here to make it to this timeline. And I know what it is. It's not because I put it into the mind of God or the subconscious. It's because I love my children too much to let them go. I must carry on with them until they say they've had enough of me. I stay. No matter what happens. The conviction is too strong. So I have no fear of death. Not a single iota of me fears it. And that's scary for some people. I get it. Eventually it won't be. I've seen it skirted too many times, too many miracles, too many situations that are inexplicable. I always continue. You'll see this in yourself every morning. Every morning when you wake, you will have departed from your body at night and you will come back into being and you will say to yourself, I just came back to life. I was just born again. I was just given consciousness. It doesn't leave me. It doesn't ever depart. It just continues giving life. Let's do this path again. Why not? We did it yesterday, we'll do it again. I don't see the barred owl today, but we'll do it again. Might have just been a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Thank you, Monica, for following. Marcos says, I made the same decision for my daughter. That's beautiful, Marcus. It's probably why we're co-creating today. With love, Helen says, happy to be here. I miss those moments. Thank you, namaste. Blessings to you. OG Zend Out says, it's nice to find a divine masculine. Thank you for saying that, OG. We are all one. However, this character here, yes. This character likes playing the character as father. Father gives, a father protects, a father wants to see someone enriched, loves caring for his children. It's a big part of this identity timeline. Big part of it. And I think it's always been there. It's why children have always responded positively to me. Marcus says, you're reminding me of things I've been away from for a while. Thank you. You're more than welcome, Marcus. Just let the sound come and go. That's presence. I have a feeling that this barred owl lives in this right here. I bet you. I bet you it does. Lots of sounds. Listen. Always follow a hunch. Always follow a hunch. This trail feels different today. Much different than yesterday. Elaine asks, what is a bardell? So I said it erroneously. It's actually, we saw yesterday is this. I'll spell it. A barred owl. A very large, old, majestic owl. Was just about 1.5 meters away yesterday. And it didn't pounce, though it has enough strength to crush bone with its talons. Just stayed where it was. But this feels so much different today. I swear I didn't scale this much yesterday. This is a steep incline. No, it's okay, Elaine. It likely was poor pronunciation on my part. Yeah, not sure how I feel about this today. Wouldn't go as far as Harrison Ford would in Star Trek, or Star Wars, sorry, by saying I have a bad feeling about this, but okay. I am curious to look around. Humbled is saying I'm getting ready to make my conscious departure. Well, if that's sleep, have a good sleep. You will be sent an echo of who you are to your subconscious mind. Consciousness never leaves you, never dies. What an adventure this is today, I'll tell you. The horse path, nowhere to be found. What is this? This is the trail. Okay, I shouldn't have said such a thing. That was very wild. Clouds are coming in now. David Atonement says, clearly someone hasn't watched the Blair Witch Project. Perhaps I've seen it enough. Too many times. It's got to be entertaining. Yeah, no bird sound. It's usually a bad sign. David Toman says, oh wait, those are alien tractor beams. This is where the woodpeckers were yesterday, but they're not here today, or they're not here now. Angels Care 2 says, trails got switched. Different reality. How often do we see a barred owl at 1.5 meters distance? I looked into the spiritual significance of it. Do you want spoilers? Humboldt says, I'm very sad to understand this world and have to leave it due to trespassing. It's just a narrative, Humboldt. Don't be sad for so long as to give your life to it. Instead, just observe. You are manifesting this. You are consciousness and truth. Consciousness having a life experience in Humboldt's body. Be humbled by it. If I have a narrative that I am being trespassed upon as an identity, that all we've entered into is co-creation. That's it. Co-creation in some way. That's all it is. Whoever's closest to the will of God and surrender to it has the magnetism. So that becomes a fun competition until perhaps you might not want to be in a position of losing magnetism. So just go into your imagination, go into the kingdom of heaven within. Find yourself sitting upon your throne. Where no one can come in, tell you what is versus not. And every story you entertain becomes a seed in your garden, about to express itself. There's another one. Lynn Finn asks, do people ride there? Are those trail jumps? You know, it's a great question, Lynn. These used to be the horse trail. And people still come through with horses. However, signs are put up discouraging it, saying it's not allowed. I don't mind so much. You'll find droppings, but it's just grass. So the answer is yes, for sure. Good place to practice. Good eyes. You have keen eyes. Look, here's the notice. Now everyone's going to see where I am. Just doxing myself. Stay on the trail, no bikes, horses, or vehicles. I wouldn't mind if a spaceship arrived suddenly and offered me a ride home. Slayer asks, where are you? Well, I just gave myself away, Slayer. I am in Connecticut. Hello, Downey. Sveru says, hey, everyone. Hello, Sveru. Here comes the Canadian geese. Lynn says, it's my life. Tell us about it, Lynn. What do you do? Are you a park ranger? Or a rider? Angel sees an orb. Cool. Whoa! I stepped right into that one. That was some wild stuff right there. Come on, that was synchronistic. Lynn Fan has 12 horses. That must be a lovely moment to spend every day. What energy coming from their hearts. The fact that they build those majestic, muscular bodies from grass alone and maybe the occasional apple or carrot. If that isn't an exercise of God's grace through infinite intelligence, then I don't know what is. Lynn Fan says, yes, manifested, indeed. I have had dreams, Lynn Fan, of riding horses on large, prospered estates, feeding apples pulled right from the tree, heirlooms. And I have walked into large kitchen areas and asked without any hesitation for a beautiful steak to be made medium rare. Do any of you feel like you're not deserving of such wealth? Do any of you have hesitation to entertain infinite wealth? Lynn says, I'm grateful. It's the freedom. Lynn does not feel that. And the reason why is because there is a subconscious pattern that is no different than the subconscious patterns that are impressed that feed us the idea of limitation. It's all programming. If you have access to infinite intelligence through the imagination, which you do as human, then that means there is no restriction and no limit. There are no limits. No limits to poverty and peril, or prosperity and purpose. All provided by this source. All I'm saying is, like Lynn, come into being and understanding that you are not only worthy of these things, but they are made by you. That's important. Lynn says truth. Anselm. Hilda, thank you for following. Just going to stay here for a minute. So I got these quantum science gold anti-radiation barriers, and I know that sounds like a wild thing. I know it sounds wild. I put them on my phone yesterday. I put one on my iPad. And within an hour, I had the sighting of this barred owl. And today, what started as a very lively forest has turned into a very quiet one. And when a forest goes quiet like this, it's for a reason. So we're just going to take some time, or we're just going to hang here for a few minutes till the birds come back. Tamara asks, have you seen the X-39? Tell me about it tomorrow. Tell me about it. Yeah, these gold anti-radiation patches, you can read all about them. They're going to say it might even increase the amount of radiation. Of course, that's coming from the skeptics. But I've noticed immediate change. It's in the TikTok shop. Yeah, it's just really quiet. But I haven't seen a scout yet today. I'm keeping my eyes peeled. I don't see any coyote scouts. I've got full view. I don't see any deer either. So, Cunnilingus says, well, first, Lin Fan says, look behind you. Yeah, okay. Everyone thinks the aliens are looking for me. Mikael asks, any book recommendations? Yes. I would say start with some audiobooks, Mikael. First one, and by the way, this is wonderful. This is a synchronistic marker that you're giving us. I was asked in this very same place to give a list of all the books that I recommend in order. And we're having a synchronistic moment. Book one, you can go to Master Key Society on YouTube. It's free. Listen to Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. Manly P. Hall's The Master Key. Listen to Florence Scovel Shin's The Game of Life and How to Play It. Then listen to Awakened Imagination by Neville Goddard. Followed by Out of This World by Neville Goddard. And then Your Word is Your Wand by Florence Scovel Shin. It Works by R.H.J., I believe it is. The name of the author is not given. It's a very short book. The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. Three Magic Words by U.S. Anderson, followed by The Secret of Secrets, The Key to Your Subconscious Power by U.S. Anderson. Still Alive and Kicking says, love Neville, you're not alone. Barbara333, thanks for following. Lin Fan says, Goddard is amazing. There we go. That was Cunnilingua's manifestation right there. Thank you, Cunilingua. Dato Huang, thank you for following. Dato Wong, sorry, thank you for following. E with Bubbles, thanks for following. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. The Key to Your Subconscious Power by Joseph Murphy. The Kabbalion by the Three Initiates, Hermes Trismegistus. I'm not just naming names here, folks. These are good books. They're all found in audiobook format, so you can just put them on and listen to them. Though, what I would put on repeat, like the only book that you need to listen to about how to manifest your desires is Feeling is the Secret by Neville. Listen to it. It's about 39 minutes long. You can just put it on repeat, set up a playlist on YouTube, and just let it sink into your subconscious when you go to sleep. For those who really want to go deep into manifestation, you can then shift and start listening to Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks. She talks a lot about source. So does Bashar, who's very big in the UFO circles because he claims himself to be channeling an alien, but has some really good advice when it comes to manifestation. However, he does do some doomsdaying from time to time without talking about timeline shifts, which I do. So, Barbara says, I love Hicks and Bashar. Yeah, they're both really powerful. Then, of course, you can listen to Joe Dispenza. He talks about the science behind all of this. Deepak Chopra does as well. And you can look into Bruce Lipton. Dr. Bruce Lipton, who talks about epigenetics. Then, if you want a nice, easygoing voice for manifestation at night to ease into your conscious power, you can listen to I Am That I Am by Wayne Dyer. And then you can listen to him read the first meditation from Three Magic Words by U.S. Anderson. He does a beautiful narration that's found on YouTube where he reads the first meditation over and over again for like 5 or so hours. I know that I'm pure spirit, that I always have been, always will be. I know that inside me there's this intelligence where all things are known and understood. This is God, the universal subconscious mind, of which I am a part, which is giving me the answers and the means and the way all the time. Yeah, you can listen to that over and over again. It'll help you a lot. Sinks right in. Julie, truly, good to see you, Julie, with the heart me. Bunny Confetti. Hey, we had rain happen here yesterday, too. Remember when the rain started yesterday? If those go to YouTube, you just click on my YouTube. The rain began right in this spot yesterday, too. All these synchronicities happening today. We like to talk about rhythm and cycles here. I'm big into the music of manifestation, and we talk about rhythm. We talk about synchronistic events within a 24-hour period. These are the things that, beyond giving us messages that help lead us towards our highest good and its manifestation of wish fulfillment, it also is fun to entertain the now and come into presence more frequently, as it will have a profound impact on the firing and wiring of your brain and how you process and remember things. So it's just fun. Angels Care 2 says, I dance in the rain. That's the way to do it. All those free electrons is waiting for you. Bunny Confetti says, lovely. Sissy, what's up? I don't know why they filtered this. It's crazy. TikTok's got to just do some long, deep breathing, TikTok. Do some long, deep breathing. After all of those are absorbed, I was saying before, you want to listen to Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard every day. Listen to his voice too. If you can find him speaking in any discourses, I love Neville Goddard's voice. He's from Barbados. He's got this unique kind of British Barbados accent. Listen to the voice of Joseph Murphy. Do not say I am that I am parrot-like. Listen to Alan Watts. Hypervigilant. Whoever asked me about hypervigilance, you passed it on. Listen to Alan Watts. You do not say I am that I am parrot-like. It is the source of all creation. It's the source of the things you want to bring into your life. Use these words with conviction as if you have them already. You live from the end. So you listen to Joseph Murphy tell you about the manifestation of the divine. Sissy says, I love Alan Watts. Cece says a very kind thing to my ego self by saying you have the perfect audiobook voice. Lol, thank you. Lily Being loves Alan Watts. Humbled says, I saw my whole life before I lived it. Ball flunky. I don't know why that was blocked. I guess people are upset with this identity. You know how I feel about this, Humbled? I don't think about it much. Narratives can be really important and they can be fun to entertain. I do it. But I realize by doing that, I miss so much. So many good things. Things that I really like. I miss them. I hate missing things. I like feeling the rain. I like seeing the barred owls and the spaceships. Then again, I also do like a good debate from now and then. Still Alive and Kicking says, will you be posting your 22 live on YouTube? It's up already. 22 and 23. Is 22 not there? Did 22 not make it? I can always put it up there again. I am hypervigilant right now. This is fun. I am seriously feeling the energy around me. I am hypervigilant. But the birds are around. Yeah, I want to connect with the tree. Hello, tree. May I connect with you? You may look as dead, but I know you're not. It should be up there. I know we're up to 23 now. Thank you, tree. Thank you, ancestor. Oh, the chickadees are back. That's a good sign. You were right, Conolingua. Just needed a reset. A grounding, as it were. What a day. An unusual rhythm, like a jazz tune. Not the typical 4-to-the-floor disco beat that I entertain. Flowing and pulsing rhythm. Today has been a lot of improvisation. Every moment has a beginning, middle, and end in this physical world. The only constant that you have is the imagination. It's the only constant. It's the only thing that is absent from time. Certainly can have it if you impose it upon it. But it is the only thing that by default has nothing to do with time and has no restriction or limitations. So it is powerful. John F. 40 says, the one-man band. Just for Trance followed. Thank you, Just for Trance. Not that one, says Zak Ahmed. Tammy Lee says, listen to the rhythm of the falling rain in my head now. Singing in the rain, says angels care too. Bilbo Floggins, thanks for following. Conalingua says, and here you guys thought Avatar was fictional. Lol. Natural keto healing. Thank you for sharing. Sissy says, nice rhythm. Thank you. Bilbo Floggins says, this looks similar to My Grove. My Grove, talking about My Grove. Zak Ahmed says, Count Bessie. Conalingua says, from the heart, if the tree feels it, it will send that communication out. I feel it. Cece asks, do you have a podcast or YouTube? Yes. So click on the bio, and it's the first link that's there. You will also see a link to my Suno page, which has a lot of music. I mean a lot. Please sing us a song, says Angels Care Too. Have you seen them working on the ground? Asks Hawk Nandez. Angels Care says, oh, I love these trees. Do you like how I'm going back through the past? William, you talk about how we shouldn't be in time, and you are talking about our comments that happened 1,000,000 days ago. I know. It's kind of wild. It's just to help you with your exercise of patience. You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips. And there's no tenderness like before in your fingertips. I'm trying hard not to show it, baby. But baby, believe me, I know it. You lost that loving feeling. Whoa, that loving feeling. You lost that loving feeling, now it's gone, gone, gone. Whoa, 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 whoa. Baby, baby, I'd get down on my knees for you. If you would only love me like I used to. Can't hit that high note though, I tried. We had a love you don't find every day. So don't let your love get away. Bring back that loving feeling. Whoa, that loving feeling. Bring back that loving feeling, for it's gone, gone, gone. And I can't hold on. Oh. Asbury Lady says, how many are singing along? Lol. How many are going to watch Top Gun now? Is the true question. It's a good day for Top Gun. Lynn Fan says, one of the best songs ever. Thank you, Lynn. I wrote it myself. Sarah Oglesby followed after listening to my beautiful singing voice. I'm sure. Could have been nothing else. Sissy, thank you for the love. Lily says, on YouTube. Oh, that's right. This will be on YouTube. Sissy says, I used my imagination last night and I went to Hawaii. This is awesome. Winter Forest, if you love trees, says, Jonna Jinton's Winter Forest, if you love trees, says Lily Being. Where is that, Lily? Akgaziev asks, how cold is it there? It's probably 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Angel says you have such a rich... Oh, sorry, I put that in. That was an extra. I called myself rich first. You have such a wonderful singing voice. Why, thank you. Morgan sending over roses. Azrael says, I was singing a duet. That's awesome. It says here, you are almost there. Send a message to invite gifters to come back. Really? I'm supposed to send messages to gifters to urge them to send me more money? That's a wild thing. Morgan, we hit the goal. Morgan dropped it right in there. Made it happen. Thank you, Morgan, for your kindness and generosity. Morgan, you should leave the stream right now so I call you in again to do it, according to TikTok. Leb says, oh, I missed the singing? Yeah, Leb. And I'm not doing it again. Woman Patriot says, I'm singing backup. Slade, what's going on, Slade? Asks when I started. I started around 1:15 maybe, Eastern. About 1:15-ish, I would say. So don't let your love get away. Ooh, yeah. It's okay, Slade, I've got everything on YouTube now. So if you want to catch up or watch something just for and most of the themes, they're mentioned in the title. All right, everyone, we're crossing the bridge here. So if you've been in the imagination, like in the case here, we had, who said that they were in Hawaii? Sissy was mentioning that Sissy went to Hawaii in the imagination. And so wherever you are, now is a good time, if you'd like, to just send out that message as we cross the bridge here. You don't have to, but it's a good time. Remember, in order for a seed to truly be planted in the garden, you got to let it be. And the time that it takes between that growth and harvest is defined as faith, okay? What faith means is you're giving a daily footprint in your garden, seeing yourself from the end in Hawaii, if that's part of it, like in Sissy's case. But your daily footprint is revisiting those places in truth. And by doing that, you're not disturbing its growth, but rather encouraging it to come forth by letting it know how much you love it and believe it to be true and are enjoying the harvest already. The blueprint of its harvest is already there. Just like the blueprint of these trees are already there in the seed. So the seed holds the blueprint of its truth in fluorescence, in harvest, in all other ways. So long as you see it with that detail, the blueprint is there with that detail, and the seed has been impressed upon the subconscious mind. Your daily footprint is what feeds this into existence without error, okay? So give it that daily footprint. Make sure that you are loving yourself in that way. The byproduct of giving yourself the daily footprint of wish fulfillment is you place every cell in your body in that environment so it can be enriched. This phenomena is referred to as epigenetics. If you look into Dr. Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and Deepak Chopra's studies, you will see how epigenetics has a direct impact scientifically on the cells of your body for their health. Okay? So that's all you're doing, is you're taking your cells on vacation like the perfect parent would. You're giving yourself a vacation, but at the same time, it's really for your kids. And eventually your kids are going to get it. They're going to grow up and they're going to respond to you as adults by no longer jumping when it's perilous, no longer crying when it's painful. They're just going to manage it on their own because they will have been trained and loved appropriately by you. This is basically how the shedding of your ego occurs. Your cells start to learn how to be more efficient because they've received your love and care as the perfect guardian and parent of your body. Okay? You'll notice it. You won't be jumping or jumpy as much. I mean, I was hyper vigilant today, but I could have freaked out a lot more. You know, when the animals stop chirping and everything goes silent in the woods, it's because you're probably being observed by a scout, and it's a real threat. So that's why we just took it slow today, folks. I wasn't going to tell you these things to try to manifest it, but these are the things that I observe because they're nature and they have momentum as life situations. If everything's quiet around you in the woods and the birds stop chirping, it is because there's likely a scout, a coyote scout, maybe a lynx or a bobcat, who's hungry and wants to find food. So everyone's bailed out of there. Okay? Oh, Slade, you're amazing. You're always so positive. You're a great musician, by the way, Slade. And I've seen you do your Tai Chi. And I think that you're just an inspiration for many. I think you're a very powerful young man. An inspiration. All right. Excuse me, I know it's turbulent here, but I want to turn this. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. Yep. I think you're an inspiration for a good number of young men. Hey guys. There are still some junkos in town. What's going on, guys? I thought you all migrated to Canada. Some of you stuck around here. Are you guys going to be year-round lifers for this, in this area? Toot toot, you guys going to have some laser battles today? These junkos stuck around. They didn't migrate. These are babies. You guys are all babies. Toot toot toot. These guys are the confident ones. They're so small. These are babies. You guys missed the migration. Are you prepared to have a full season with me? Because I am a wily one. Are you guys prepared for being spoiled with honey-coated salted peanuts and suet? Are you even aware you're having laser battles already? Do you guys understand what this means? Yeah, they are strong. It's true, Slade. Do you junkos understand what this means? You're going to be spoiled beyond compare. You will not be in the coldness of Canada. You will be here receiving all sorts of treats all the time. Do you understand that this is what you've walked into by staying here? Oh, there's the Carolina Wren. Hello, Carolina Wren. You don't want to look at the Carolina Wren. because it will flee. Come on, somebody go to the platform, guys. Don't be shy. I put it there for you. Come on. Somebody get over there and eat. Sissy says, I have more juncos this year than sparrows. That's amazing. The sparrows will usually breed with the juncos and kind of take over the genetics. The juncos are studied quite extensively by Cornell labs, the ornithology labs, because their genetics are very compatible with other birds. And they're really good city birds. They survive well in the city. They survive everywhere. I love the dark-eyed junco. It's got a great personality. These guys are waiting to come over now. They're perched over here and they're saying, when is this big lumbering mass going to leave so we can feel safe and eat? All right, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been the best day. I love our talks. I love that we had this Saturday together. Please enjoy this day of rest. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Be at peace and oneness with yourself, and offer yourself that escape to the imagination, your true salvation. Listen to some laser sounds, and these guys are just having Star Wars happen. They're happy. Delia says, gracias. Hello, Delia. Thank you for all your love. Thank you, Sueru. Thank you, Angels. Thank you, Vaughn. Sovereign Slade, thank you. I love you all, okay? Ending the stream. I'll see you tomorrow around 1 o'clock. Peace be with you all. I love you all. Tomorrow around 1 o'clock.